What's up, everybody? We're live early. For a change, I'm playing a match against somebody on the ranked matchmaking. I just felt like getting in here and playing a game to start the day off. I've been slowly working back into playing more regularly myself. Did a couple of the Vermin League ladder games, which was really fun. Had a pretty rough game for my first one against Ulrich Rawl. It's really good. And then Pizu and I played a pretty close game. Dark Elves and Beastmen, which is a really fun matchup. So today, though, I didn't want to have to do the song and dance of waiting in the lobby. I figured there would be more people on looking for games just on the regular ranked matchmaking. And I got a game pretty quick here. So, Tomb Kings versus Khorne is typically pretty tough, but I've got a pretty good working build here that I've found a lot of success with. We're going to see if it's able to beat the Tomb Kings. Once again, if I'm able to, then the Scylla Valkia combo will be like truly undefeated with a decent sample size, because I've played 4 games with this particular Lord Hero combo. And won all of them up to this point. I'm looking to see if maybe adding in Prehensile Tail or Serpentine Tail helps Scylla any with his killing power. Very interested to see how this plays out with him. But I have felt like he was a sleeper for quite a while now. Very strong character. Does big damage. Chosen of the Gods are here. We've got Skelly Spears. We've got a double Tomb Prince and Cetra on horseback. Wow. Okay. That's cool. I still don't think it's better than Scylla, though. We can actually just, like, straight up get in here and start brawling with this stuff, I think. We're gonna bring another Fury out to try and get after the Chosen of the Gods. And Valkia is actually going to go straight for the backline here. Chariots and Blood Beasts and everything are just going to rock up, and we're going to send all our Marauders into melee contact here. And the Forsaken are going to go to the high ground with these Marauders and see what they can do. Alright, Valkia engaged. She can pop this, and then my opponent's being really slow here, and I don't think is ready for the Razzle Dazzle from Sleipnir, which it didn't look like they were. That's pretty brutal. Alright, now the Blood Beast can go in, that the charge is broken. We're gonna send Scylla to go beat up on the characters. Sepulchral Stalkers are coming out, so we just pull the Furies up in the air, and now we go dive those guys. Scylla's gonna kill here. We'll bring out Hounds of the Bloodhunt to cap this point. We'll actually send this stuff over here, and the Chariots are honestly not really needed currently. They will find something to do in a moment. As it stands right now, we're having a really good time in the front line here. Scylla's taking massive damage right now, though. Let's see if we can get him away. He might be able to squeeze out of here. It'd be really nice to not lose him. Let's get a side charge here. Let's keep going. We've crumbled most of the frontline infantry. Chosen of the Gods are freed up again, which is pretty rough for me. I need to find a way to shut those guys back down. We're sending the Forsaken to the low ground. We're going to try and get into the backline here. We can squeeze through the formation and get on top of that. And Valkia is getting wrecked by the Hero Goon Squad, which is pretty terrifying. If we can not lose our Lord, that would be really great. It might be a little unavoidable. If we can get on top of these units here and shut them down, that's also good. But I think I was too aggressive with Valkia, because down she goes. I did a bunch of damage to the inexpensive parts of the Tomb King's army, and all the good stuff is very much alive. So I think I was way too aggressive here. Probably being more patient would do me better next time, because wow, oh wow. did I get mulched on? Oh, my leadership's going to be a big problem now. Maybe if I kill the Eyes of the Desert, though, I will still be okay. Let's get the Hounds out of here, though. Because the Forsaken should still be able to do some good damage. Actually going to get in there and do some work. We'll try and keep Silo away from all those guys. Maybe we'll be alright. And the Corngors might be able to take over the top objective there. Let's get the Chariots out, too. God, we just don't have enough damage output there. So one Skelly Spear here with the Ushabti summon is hanging out. We've got lots of infantry. Maybe we save up to bring Valkia back out so our leadership isn't so bad. And there go the Forsaken. Corngors are going to have to do some serious heavy lifting here, I think. Let's get Silo away. Unsummon these guys when the time comes. We'll wait here. My opponent's going to have to send something up there that's decently tough to try and engage that position. Sepulchral Stalkers with 1,000 value. Chosen of the Gods. Haven't gotten a lot done, but they're disengaged from combat now, which is going to be really brutal for me to have to try and grind through them. Got some Routers. More Rallying Marauders. Valkia back out on the field might start doing some work. I'm a little hesitant to do this, because she could just get her ass kicked all over again.
Give me glory.
You can see us having some problems with the infantry. Let's get the Chariots away. Usurians is just such a good spell, man. It's really ruining me. Let's get in there. We're taking this high ground point. We got Tomb Guard coming up here. I don't really want to leave my Corngors to fight those guys. These Corngors down here are doing some pretty good damage, which is nice. I think I'm going to even use Unbreakable on these guys because their Fury is about to wear off. Just to keep their entities alive and do extra damage. We're going to see what we can do with that. Alright, let's get some more Marauders out. I think we can grind this back. Even though it's not looking incredible, I don't think we're in an unwinnable position. We're going to run away with these Corngors, actually. And these Corngors finally broke. They did do a decent amount of damage, and the Chariot has not had a good time. I've not microed it around well, or been able to get it anywhere where it's making much of a difference at all. My opponent with the Nekar Horseman, man, doing some really good damage to me. I was expecting the Kitty Cat Sphinx, but the Double Tomb Prince has actually been pretty damn strong. Alright, well, that's the end of Sila. He's gonna get caught here. Probably gonna die. Let's see if we can kill one of these Tomb Princes. Let's commit to the fight down here. And see if we can hang on to these points, maybe. I'm shocked at how quickly the Tomb Princes are taking down Sila, dude. That's really wild. I mean, they're absolutely wrecking face on him. And I think Valkia goes down for a second time here. Just because she stands alone back here. Sleipnir's gonna miss too, which is really rough. We'll fight that guy. We've lost all our infantry over here, pretty much. Let's get a Fleshhound out to maybe answer these horsemen and finish them off. Let's get these Fleshhounds off of those guys. We've got Kefirgard coming out. And Valkia stands alone. She's gonna have to do some heavy lifting here. Basically need her to carry. Horsemen hanging out back here. What can we bring out to kill those guys? Not a lot, honestly. We're grinding back some value. Maybe if we kill Cetron's Tomb Prince, we'll be alright. Gonna use Demon Shield. Just stay and fight for a second. Maybe we'll pull out now. We're gonna be able to escape. The problem, as always, is Valkia getting stuck on the ground here. She's gotten her ass kicked, dude, and she can't get away from the horse characters. They're just too fast for her. So we lose our lord for a second freaking time. And now the tomb guard that are up on these points are gonna be way too difficult to remove, I think. You're kind of seeing the risks of not playing patiently versus the Tomb Kings. Look at the value on the Tomb Princes. Cetra with 3,000 freaking value, dude. Absolute insanity. Such a beast. Let's get this buff going. Doing a pretty good job of protecting the Chosen of the Gods as well, who have done pretty well. We'll get another Corn Gore up. Just need stuff on the field, basically. We'll get the Flesh Hounds out. We got a new Tomb Prince on the field. That's it. That's game. I'm not going to be able to grind this back. I should have been more patient. I thought I could dive early. My opponent just kind of sucked me in. And I really wasn't expecting Scylla to get bodied as hard as he did by the Cetra and Tomb Prince combo. That was insane, dude. He just got absolutely obliterated by them. God damn. Valkyria's still got 2,700 value, though. That's crazy. Just the anti-hero squad. My chariots didn't have that many targets to go after. I probably should have just kept them back and started running over Tomb Guard when they started trotting out onto the field. I think that would have been a much better use of my time, because they actually did pretty well. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, Cetra with 3,100 value on horseback is kind of wild. I really wouldn't have expected him to be doing that much. Usually he's on the Sphinx, but maybe people are too prepared for that now. We'll see what we can do next time. It's not always the easy go of it in that matchup. And I think, honestly, I don't think the Mortis engine on Scylla was really all that useful either. I didn't really see a whole lot of value coming out of that beforehand. After the fact, I think it's better left off the table. I think just kill for corn is fine. Staying away from the hero squad would have been the smart money. And having something to actually kill those guys would have also been really nice, because I did lack some anti-large in my army. Usually I bring double Minotaur in the reserves. Just because I think they're a little bit better than Corn Gores in this matchup. You still want some Corn Gores, you don't want to over-rely on them. You can usually get away with just having two here. Because the issue that they Corn Gores run into is against melee Shabti with Cetra on the big Sphinx, just kind of run over these guys. Chaos Knights, not a very good choice. Skull Crushers are okay against Tomb Kings. They've got good mass, and they've got pretty good damage output. If you get them on target against Ushabti or Sepulchral Stalkers, stuff like that, they rip and tear through those guys. They do big damage to units like that. Bloodbrute Behemoth, usually not a very good idea, just because he gets shot to pieces. Way too squishy of a monster. Alright. Yeah, let's go, Ninja. Super hype, man. How many people are playing? We got 25 signups. Damn, let's go. We got... How many people aren't checked in yet? Looks like there's going to be about 20 people in the tournament today. It's going to be really cool. Very excited to see that. Alright, where... Here it is. Okay. What have we got today for factions? We've got some Skaven, Dowie, Greenskins, Tzeentch, more Skaven, Kislev, High Elves, Lizardmen, Vampire Coast, a Filthy Beastman player, Druchii, Khorne, Vampire Counts, which is very awesome, Ninja a specialist in them, Kislev, Wood Elves, more Coast, some more Dark Elves. Pretty nice spread on most of the factions. We don't have any Ogre Kingdoms or Slaanesh players. So, we at least won't be seeing them take the tournament today. Usually, if there's Ogres or Slaanesh being chosen, there's a pretty good odds on that player taking the tournament overall. Let me get a turn on the map pack real quick. Yeah, let's do it. Skaven are a fairly rare sight right now. They haven't been getting played nearly as much in the like upper levels lately. Their win rate has really dropped, but I'll show you part of the reason why. The win rate for the Skaven has kind of fallen off a cliff. Is this one matchup right here down at the bottom. I'm sure you can see it already. So Skaven are down here at 40%, but they've lost 26 games versus the Wood Elves, which is absolutely insane. Like, that is pretty brutal. That one matchup is single-handedly sinking their win rate by God knows how much, like, almost 10% probably.
The Tome of Fates. It reveals the secrets of the past, the present, and what may come to be.
I'm doing the math real quick.
Most would think me fortunate to own such a book. But I can only use it in service to others. That is my curse.
Wow.
It wakes, tormenting me once more, feeding on the mysteries of this world, unraveling them into opportunity.
Yeah, the Skaven Wood Elves matchup is lowering the Skaven's win rate almost 10%, which is absolutely crazy. So Skaven are a much better faction than you would think, based on the raw data from their current position on the leaderboard and stats. Just don't ever play them into Wood Elves, apparently. They're pretty good otherwise. You see them often as like a tech against expensive factions or other Horde factions that they can outshoot. That's really where they're best. They're not very popular with new players. But if you can, like, figure them out as a faction, keep them together, mutually supporting each other, they're excellent. They're very strong. Yeah, exactly, Richard. Not many Skaven units fight on their own. And that can be a death sentence in Dom. Especially in later stages of matches where you've lost cohesion on your forces. If your units can't out-trade others of equivalent value in isolated fights, that can really drag down the rest of your army's capabilities. Like, Plague Monks and the Stormvermin Halberds are really the only two infantry you have that can trade reasonably even with other units. Particularly the Stormvermin with Halberds, who are crazy strong, very good at holding side points. You do have to worry about them being alone out there with, like, AP skirmishers of any kind. Usually, though, you can push up your own missiles to deal with that. So, as long as they don't get shot to pieces, they're usually going to be able to hold a point for you. Although you can't really underestimate the power of just mass numbers of bodies from the Skaven Man. Just like maxed out clan rats of both variants. You just throw tons in reserve as well. With like mortars mixed in. And maybe like a brood horror or two for some terror. With like natty buboes hiding to shoot any big stuff. Can also have some serious success just because you push people off of the objectives really quickly that way. We're actually going to go spectate somebody now. We've got the tournament kicked off. We've got Uber on the dwarves. We've got Yellow Dart on the high elves, which is going to be a fun matchup. Very old school. It's like the height of Warhammer 2 days, back when the High Elves were a top-level meta faction. Same with the Dowie. From past experience, High Elves can struggle into the Dwarves. Dowie are one of the factions where their cheap missiles outtrade the High Elves' cheap missiles, typically. Especially if you're using Quarrelers for the Dowie. Quarrelers have really high armor, and even though they have an inferior shield, their way to fire is going to wear down Lothern Seaguard and especially archers and stuff like that. Elves usually do better if they try to beat the Dowie in a melee grind, funnily enough. Just because they have White Lions of Trace, who are very powerful. They can usually run in and get some pretty good damage dealt to all the Dowie warriors. And if you can trade through those guys and get on top of the missiles and shut them down by running around with your melee units in the back line, that's usually where the Dowies start to really fall apart, because at that stage they're having to push in like Doomseekers and really expensive anti-infantry armor-piercing units, which the Dowie don't have a lot of cheap access to, unfortunately. And even when they do, their units are so slow that you can kite them around pretty efficiently and pull them out of positions where they really want to sit and help out the rest of the formation. Playing Dowie in domination mode is pretty tough, in my opinion. Anybody who can make them work is a pretty top-tier player in my book. Having such static forces usually ends up being a death sentence, in my opinion. Oh yeah, Eshin Triads are pretty good at it. But my experience with Triads and Death Runners is that if they get attacked by anything, like Death Runners if they get attacked by a large target, and Eshin Triads if they get attacked by an infantry target, end up falling apart pretty quickly, because they're so highly specialized, and don't even bring up magic damage trading into those guys, because they just fold up when their Phys Res gets passed over. You can play Dowie and Dom. They are, like, a very solid mid-tier faction. And if you're just super on point with your positioning with them, you can make an absolutely unbreakable little box that can just run over people with the strong missile play. I do think they're much harder than people give them credit for. Like, I know in the Conquest and Land Battle community, Dowier's seen as, like, a S-tier faction there. A lot of that just comes down to the fact that you can't develop out answers to what they bring, and they can go so wide, they can bring 20 stacks there. The thing that makes Dowie weaker in Dom mode is just the fact that your opponent can bring answers out onto the field, and they can intercept the Dowie reinforcements on the way in. which really hurts the dwarves because of their low speed across the board. Lots of Bugman's Rangers coming in with a couple Quarrelers. Very good choice. Ulthar's Raiders for the Marked by Ulthar debuff, which is going to be very punishing. We got a... this is an Uberman special. The cannon with the gold chevrons gives it a much better rate of fire. Lots more accuracy. It's deceptively powerful. Cannons are pretty decent in Dom mode. They can be a little bit of a weight on your army, just because you have to defend them. Because crews are so squishy. Dowie crews are a little bit less so than others. You still can't afford to leave any kind of like Illyrian Reaver or Silverhelm or anything like War Lions to get back here though, because they will shut down the cannon crew pretty quickly regardless. You can hear the Dowie. Getting amped up, hiding in the bushes here. There's like 50 Dowie piled up in this bush, believe it or not. The benefits of being short, right? You know, you can hide anywhere. Shortly going to materialize out of the warp, I guess. While over here on the other side, we hear nothing. Just quiet. Which definitely means the elves are out here somewhere. Being sneaky as always. Love the ambient noise on a lot of these maps. It's very peaceful. You know? You can totally see yourself living here. Like, look at this beautiful architecture. You can build a nice little riverside house, like right here, up in the trees. Trying to see where like the best place would be. Now, honestly, probably like right over here would be nice. You know, you can like get a nice wide view of the landscape. You know, you're right up by the mountain, and you got a big old tree line that you can go and do whatever in. Yeah, TBD means you gotta buy around Leggett. You get a free win, buddy. It does suck because you won't get any op points for the round, but just win the rest of your games. You'll be fine. You're a really good lizardman, man. I assume you're playing lizards. So, shouldn't have too many problems. We're loading in very slowly here. We'll get there eventually. Hopefully there's no lag, and then the game will just progress quickly once everyone's loaded in. Leggett is playing lizards. Hell yes. Ready to see some more big SCs in your builds. The waterfall. I never noticed that the water isn't actually animated here. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just while it's loading like this, it's not moving. But even if it isn't, they did a pretty good job of, like, making it look like it's at least a flowing river source, or water source. Also, this is a very funky little, pool of water here. Because you got waterfalls at both ends, and then just water sitting here in the middle. So, the High Elves must have some kind of, like, drainage somewhere here to, like, replenish the aquifer. Otherwise, this is just gonna completely flood the whole area. Maybe this is it. You know, the water rises up, and then it drains out into the little cave entrance here. I assume this is, like, Isha, because this is the Glade of the Everqueen. That's supposed to be, like, her patron deity. So, I guess it makes sense that this would be, like, a wellspring of life for the High Elves, I guess. Look how far back you can see the skybox, too, man. There's some breathtaking landscapes here. How much higher up can I go? Oh, here we go. We're about to load in. I just want to see if I can get up on the cliff. Yeah, let's go. Some more little trees. Oh, there's a little tower up here, too. And, I guess weird fruits or unfinished textures. Alright, here we go. So, they'll be setting up here in just a moment. We've got Archmage of Metal on the Eagle. Not a bad option. Very good at hunting down gyros. And then also using Searing Doom just to pound dwarf positions isn't bad. Sisters of Avalorn with some chevrons. Archers, Lotherns. Archers I really wouldn't bring here. They have a little bit better range than their counterparts. They do not trade well, though, into the Dowie Quarrelers and Bugmans especially. Bugmans have a heal on them. Liquid Fortification. It definitely makes a big difference in the range trades. It's not nearly as good in melee combat, although these guys do hold up fine with the 38 melee defense. Much better than other ranged units in the same category. Pretty similar to Lothern Seaguard in a lot of ways. Lotherns do get the benefit of martial prowess, though. It's really the solid leadership and the heal and immune to psychology that keeps Bugmans very competitive in long trades. Reaver Archers moving up, looking to get after the number 3. Dowie Vanguard going to be very aggressively moving forward. The Elves need to be very careful here. Probably should just stop on the edge of the point. Advancing any further than this, they're going to get right up into the bow fire range of the Bugmans here. So this is a great opportunity for Uberman to massively outtrade the High Elves here. And a pretty devastating initial volley coming in. Takes a decent chunk of the HP off of the Illyrian Reaver Archers. No healing for the High Elves, since they didn't bring any life magic of any kind. Any models lost? No models lost, at least, so they've got their full weight of fire still. Rangers are going to get absolutely wrecked by these blasting charges, but good response from Yellow Dart, pulling them back out immediately. Just retreating a little bit. No need to run all the way back to the woods or anything. You can just push over your own bow units now. Shoot down the miners here. And then you push the Rangers up onto the point. Or better yet, get them into the backfield to try and get on top of some of these Bugmans. Rangers are pretty damn strong at killing low armor Dowie range units, like Rangers and Bugmans. They've got very good melee attack, decent melee defense, a little bit of physical resistance, doesn't hurt either. Okay weapon strength with a good bonus. More than enough to deal with most of the Dowie units, but these blasting charges are going to take an obnoxious amount of HP off these guys if they get nailed. And I don't think that Yellow Dart is paying enough attention out here. And they do take a pretty significant amount of damage. Uberman could also start shooting these guys with the Bugmans. No need to keep them just sitting here doing nothing for so long. Sisters of Avalorn and the Archers are opening up, getting a little damage on these Bugmans. Nothing too devastating. Miners should push up here and try to get the blasting charges off on these stationary units now. Cannon opened up finally, or has been firing for a little bit now. Just pinballing ranged units at will right now. Having a grand old time. Rangers just absolutely eating these... Rangers getting eaten for breakfast, I should say, from the miners and the Bugmans. Big casualties from those guys. Lose a lot of HP, and now they're going to be routing off the field, and the miners going to help push back some of these Illyrian Reavers. Bugmans are getting worn down back here. And finally, we have a little bit of movement from these miners. If you've got like a precursor missile on a unit, you probably want to just advance them forward to try and use it. Especially if they don't have a shield and they're getting worn down at range. Just using them to box your opponent's range tools back a little bit is usually pretty damn strong. And you can see here, if your opponent doesn't micro back their range tools, Archers just get absolutely obliterated by most of that blasting charge volley. There's a few more hanging out here. They've still got some ammo. They will be throwing those in just a moment, probably finishing off this Archer unit. big damage on those guys. Sisters and the other archer unit taking a little bit of damage. Spearman getting absolutely rolled right now. And so far, Uberman is just boxing the High Elves back, and the Spearmen getting out-traded by the Dowie Warriors, as well as the Bugman's Ranger Fire. This High Elf build really is not built for grinding through the Dwarves. You've got to have AP infantry in your build, in my opinion, especially in reserve. Yellow Dart's got all these supplies, has been very slow building out any kind of response tools. The few he has brought out have been like Illyrian Reavers. Rangers are trying, but the Rangers locked in on these miners. It's going to take them a while to get through those guys. All the while, the Quarrelers are pincushioning them, and now they're getting flanked by another miner unit. Miners are pretty poor in combat, but if you got two of them locked in combat against a Ranger, they'll probably win, and it's a pretty even trade in terms of cost. Regular miners are 325. Miners with blasting charges are 425 or 450 thereabouts. And a Ranger is 650 gold. They're pretty expensive, all things considered. Rangers running for their lives, and the Dowie just walk up onto the back point. And the Lothern Sea Guard have just been sitting here, not doing anything. Big mistake. Don't leave your forces unengaged anywhere on the battlefield. Even if you're trading unoptimally with something, oftentimes, just keeping them engaged in combat stresses your opponent's micro and leaves you a little bit freer elsewhere on the battlefield. Dowie Cannon is melting Silverhelms and Cavalry right now. These guys just got absolutely wrecked by that volley from the cannon. 734 value on it. It's normally a, I think these are 800 gold regular Dowie cannons with all these chevrons. I think we checked it last time. They're 1194 or something like that. So they're a little bit more expensive than normal, but they're well on their way to paying for themselves. Gonna finish off the Silverhelms. Silverhelms still have martial prowess, but one more volley will take that offline. Dowie about to triple cap here, and it's going to be a very quick game, I think. Yellow Dart's build, like I said, not very attuned to shutting down this kind of Dowie style. Bringing in all of these mobile options is a good call. I don't hate bringing up the Silverhelms and Illyrian Reavers early. The problem is that you brought all these Spearmen and Cav Archers. Not to mention all the Lotherns and everything who have traded horrendously. None of them have gotten their value back, I bet. These archers are trying. The sisters have gotten wrecked. Especially considering they have chevrons on them. They're probably about 1,300 gold with those chevrons. They've gotten about half that back. Spearmen have also traded horrendously. There's just nothing in the High Elf army that can grind back any value. All this stuff is running for their lives now. Archmage has probably done okay. Yeah, 900 gold on the Archmage ain't bad. The Archmage probably should be chasing the gyros now. It is a little bit too late, though. Probably not going to be able to find much opportunity without getting pin-cushioned by all the missiles that are left on the field. Bugman's Rangers, a lot of them are kind of worn down, although these are the Quarrelers. More Quarrelers. Where are the other Bugmans? One Bugman's back here. Any more on the field? There were 3 in the opening. I think one of them has been shut down, but yeah, here are the other 2. So, actually looks like all the Bugmans are perfectly fine, man. Just getting fat value on them too, man. Oh my goodness. Wow, 800 on this guy. That's paying for itself. This Bugman on its way. This one got 1,000. Used all its ammo. You could unsummon them or use them to hold the point. Just like I said, they've got good melee stats. They'd be decent as a position holder. Especially with liquid fortification. It's going to be hard to shoot them off. We do finally get some War Lions out. War Lions excellent against the Dowie, but Cannon looks like it's turning its attention to them. If you click on your units, you can see what's targeting them usually. You can also hold space, and you can see where all of the ranged attack orders are being given. It's worth pressing this every now and then. just flicking it, just so that you can get an idea of what's happening on the battlefield. War Lions do get into the back line. They got some pretty good value, but they get stuck on Slayers too eventually. And they do lose that trade. Leadership, it's not that great on these guys. They need support. They're coming in a little too scattered now. And the Elgi are really trickling out onto these points. They are re-securing their back point finally. Still losing a lot of units moving up on the middle though. Where are the Ironbreakers? Ironbreakers hanging out over here. They've gotten about 500 value, just throwing their blasting charges. Warriors of Dragonfire Pass doing some work too. These archers still struggling to provide value. This one's used all its ammo and just barely paid for itself. Something you never want to see from your ranged units. The issue is coming into the full focus here for why archers just aren't that good here. Even using all their ammo, they barely got any value back in return. Ranged units, if they use all their ammo, if you're not 2xing their value with their ranged fire, then you're not making good use of them, and you should have brought something else. War Lions kind of being forgotten about out here. We've got some Illyrian Reavers doing damage over here. Which ain't bad, but they're very blobbed up. Good cannon volley coming in here would decimate these cavalry. Probably even worse, though. Finally getting a couple shots in. How much value has the cannon gotten to? 1,400, man. Dowie have just kind of been left to their own devices, and it's not looking good for the High Elves. They're having a horrible time right now. They get hit by a Rune of Slowness. This Rune Lord has been buffing stuff up pretty nicely, too. Hasn't been using Rune of Wrath and Ruin much, but Rune of Slowness, debuffing speed, I've seen that going off a couple of times. Gyros flying overhead. Slayers trading pretty poorly into the Rangers, but with the Gyrocopter support, they should be able to finish this fight. And the Gyros, they're just going to slowly grind out a ton of value. You can see the High Elves are just still fully pushed back. You can see even with the terrible value trades that the High Elves have had, they were able to retake their #1 objective, and they were holding it okay until the Gyrocopter Corps came back and really started to flip this again. Dowie just takes so long getting up to objectives. You can usually trade pretty well on the tickets as long as you're not down by 6,000 value. If you're even with the dwarves, you can beat them, provided you have the right kind of units out on the field. White Lions, they did come out. They were a little isolated, though. Again, just trickling into way too many range tools. Ulthar's Raiders over here with 1,200 value as well. Beautiful Rune of Wrath and Ruin going down here. Big damage on the Rangers. A little bit of damage on the War Lions. War Lions stacked with the Rangers are doing much better than the rest of the army. Those guys actually got their value back there. A lot more of that would have been really good for the High Elves. Really well played by Uberman. Obviously putting in the practice on the dwarves. And doing a very good job of focus firing with all the missiles, man. Good value across the board on them. Only one of the Bugmans didn't get its value back. But everything else, value back and more. Which is really nice. Including the cannon. 172 kills on a cannon is nasty work, dude. Gyros weren't as impactful as they normally are. This Quarreler 2x'd. Ironbreakers didn't have much to do. Yeah, the Dowie melee infantry, you know, never really all that great. They're kind of lackluster, but they held the line really nicely. What's up, Seji? What's up, Pizu? How are y'all? Yeah, like it. That's the way to go about it. That's how you start off in this game. Learn your main. Branch out from there. Especially once you know the matchups with all the other factions in and out. You can start to pick and choose which factions that you think fit your playstyle most. Like with Khorne, I moved on to Beastmen, obviously. Warriors of Chaos, of course, but Wood Elves, honestly, Wood Elves don't play too differently from Khorne in a lot of ways. That might sound crazy, but I honestly believe Wood Elves play pretty similarly to the Chaos factions. You just have access to even better range tools. So you can just absolutely munch on people. It's really fun. Alright. See if people are dropping replays in here. Yeah, let's go. We've already got some available. I'm going to get this set up for you. And then I'll be right back. I'm going to take like 3 minutes to get all this stuff situated. So, BRB. One sec, guys. Okay, I'm back. Got him moved over. Ate some of my chicken and Brussels sprouts. That's my lunch. I'll be working on that slowly as we go. So what do we want to see here? We've got Dark Elf Mirror Match, which is pretty cool. Very different builds on both sides here. We got more of a ranged focus build with very obnoxious fuckboy Malice here. Crone Hellebron on the Manticore, I think, which is a rare sighting indeed. God, I can't think of the last time I saw Crone Hellebron in a game. That's going to be an interesting one. I do think I want to see Beastman versus Greenskins, though. Also, just because I've never seen either of these players play, I don't think. I don't recognize their names in-game. Although on Steam, it's easy to change your name. It's really in a Total Tavern, where it's a little bit harder to mix that up. Just because, like, an admin actually has to go in and change your name on the site itself. So, barring anything, I think these are two very newish players. We've got, what have we got here? We got lots of Ungor Raiders. I love Ungor Raiders, dude. Really underrated bow unit. Look at the ugly-ass skin these guys got. This is some proper Ungor and gore herd aesthetic, man. Red and angry, for sure. So you're going to be moving up. I think that's the Man-Blight tribe insignia. Lots of Pestigors as well. These guys, you know, a little bit redder than their standard Pestigor unit. Still plenty sickly and green looking, you can see, though. And what have we got back here? Some more Senties. I've noticed that Centigors, they don't really change much between all the different factions. They're pretty plain colored. We do have a great Shaman. Beast Magic, very solid choice against the Greenskins. Flock of Doom is just so cost effective, especially if you're hitting multiple targets. It's absolutely disgusting. Gets you tons of value, and it's going to be really good against the Broken Tusk Mob and Squig Herds. Stuff like that, where the Flock of Doom is maximizing its value potential on the individual models themselves, just because there's not nearly as many. On Infantry, the damage gets way more spread out. The reason why Flock of Doom is so good against Cavalry is because the damage is more concentrated on the individual models, which leaves them much weaker for when they get into combat. They can lose a lot more HP. Missing the charge with Goreherd is a big no-no. Goreherd have a great charge bonus of 29. You cannot pass that up on an infantry unit. They would be trading much better into these Savage Orcs if the charge had gotten off. What is going on? Oh my god, Fanatics going right down the line from the Greenskins. Oh my goodness, dude. Oh, that is filthy value. They just deleted the Pestigore blob over here. A lot of friendly fire, but that's more than worth it, dude. From 2 Fanatics being cast. 8 Peak Loonies here. And there's still 2 uses of those later. Keeping them back just to keep their HP up so they can use the loons later. Holy crap, dude. Big breakthrough from Grease Guy right off the bat. Really nicely done. You don't see people use Fanatics all that much. I am not sure what that was. That was the limpest spellcast I've ever seen in my life. It literally just did nothing to these Centigores, and they just ran over those Error Boys. Trades over on the number 1 objective not going as well. Grimgore is chasing stuff off into the sunset, never a good spot for him to be in. The Beastmen look like they might be able to rally a little bit. They did lose the number 3 objective pretty damn hard. I mean, those Pestigores just dying in droves over here. Goreherd not doing too well. Another Goreherd coming up. Honestly, I would say that what needs to happen is the Ungors need to rotate over, and it actually looks like Searonk is going for that. Because this is just all melee infantry. Poke them down from range, and just trickle 1 unit in at a time, especially if your opponent's going to blob up like this. And just absolutely wreck them. The Bray Shaman has not been using any magic. Big mistake. Come in here and just keep dropping Flocks of Doom and all this blobbed up stuff. You're going to have a great time if you do that, man. Beastmen are rallying a little. They have lost some of their infantry corps. They do have the mobility online still, and the Centigores get a great side charge, man. Breaking the Night Goblin Fanatics immediately. Tears of Nurgle going down. Some of the rallying Pestigores getting in. All of these Greenskin units going to be slow as hell. No pulling them out now. They're going to be very trapped in here. Another Fanatics cast going down. Not as good of a rotation, but still does nice damage to the Goreherd. Killing some of the Centis, getting some damage on them as well. Really nice charge from the Broken Tusk Mob onto the exposed Ungor Raiders and the remaining Goreherd over here, but the Minotaurs with great weapons, especially with all these little Raiders underfoot, going to do some nasty damage and not take a whole lot in return. You can see how spread out the Broken Tusk Mob are. If they were surrounding the Minotaur unit, they'd be doing better damage. As it stands, though, they're going to trade very poorly into all these units here. You can see the Minotaurs at full health still, basically. And they've taken down one side of the Broken Tusk Mob. The other end of the formation, piling into combat now. Going to get equally obliterated here. Lots of blobbing from both of these players. This is definitely something they're both going to have to clean up. You don't want to leave big blobs engaged like this as messily as they're committed right now. Big spellcast will punish that. We saw the Fanatics do so earlier to the Beastmen. Now it's kind of the reverse situation where all the Centigores have gotten some really good surrounds off. And they've done some seriously nasty damage to this big blob of infantry here. Ungor Spearherd into the sunset coming out right now. We got 4 units of them waddling out onto the field with some Goreherd. Pretty messy engage for those guys. And the other side of the battlefield, man, you know, like the Beastmen have re-secured the number 3, but they just turned right around to lose the number 1. That was a much better brain bursta. Doing some good damage there from the Orc Shaman. What is the Beastman caster doing back here, man? Just hasn't done a damn thing. Searock's completely forgotten about the Lord. Like, if you are gonna bring a Lord with magic, don't just leave him back here in the forest, man. Like, this is a pretty cheap Lord. You can lose this Lord and resummon pretty easily. It would suck, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I think with this spell kit, this guy's about 1,300 gold. Is on the Tusk score, so pretty inexpensive. That Flock of Doom magic would be really nice, have been really nice over here on all these blobs of greenskin infantry. Because the Beastmen are trading a little too fairly right now. There's a giant Grimgore. We've got Arrow Boys over here. A lot of scary stuff holding on to the #1 objective for the Beastmen, and they really haven't been bothering to try to respond to that yet. Oh man, more Fanatics coming in. Looks like they did a little friendly fire damage, but they did hit the Gore Herd here in this pocket. Brain Burst gonna get some fat value here. Big damage on those guys. Lots of Waws going down for the Greenskins. And this is probably going to be a win for them. I don't see any way of getting the Giant and Grimgore off of this objective with the way the Beastmen are playing right now. They don't have any Unger Raiders except for one pretty tattered unit out there. Their infantry are all pretty much either garbage tier or dead. Like, these Gore Herd have been trading very poorly. You can see not a lot of value on the very heavy metal infantry. I don't love Pestigores in this matchup either. Like, you've got better options for dealing with Black Orcs. If you're really worried about the Black Orcs, what you need to bring are the Butchers of Kalkengard. Because they're just so strong at dealing with everything, anything and everything. They've got Terror on them too, so they scare away all the Goblins. That can leave the Black Orcs even more isolated. And even though Black Orcs are immune to psychology, the good AP on the Butchers, as well as the regen they have, gives them very good trades across the board on just about anything they'll fight outside of the Savage Orc Boarboy Biggins, or just regular Boarboy Biggins as well. They can usually outtrade. We do have the Minotaurs getting on the Giant. Giants are, they're okay. They're not terrible, they're just really slow is their biggest problem. 39 speed is kind of terrible for a big monster like this. They just don't get anywhere quickly, but they are basically unbreakable. Having 100 leadership is pretty saucy. And with Grimgore's help, probably going to be able to take down the Minotaurs here. Minotaurs at least won't get terrified away from this fight, but they're going to get absolutely hammered here. Good weapon strength on the Giant, dude. 700 is nasty work. That's almost as good as the Dreadsaurians for the Lizardmen, which is kind of the gold standard for giant monsters in terms of the weapon strength. And they did change the way that SCs interact with infantry. They basically changed the splash damage on all of the big monsters to be representative of like 100 weapon strength hitting one model. So they actually kill models a little bit more efficiently now. Overall, I think that is a pretty nice buff for big stuff. It can leave them in an awkward position though sometimes, where they're not distributing their attacks very efficiently against monstrous infantry. It did also have that weird interaction with the monstrous infantry where they were just performing horribly. They did eventually fix it though, and they did it pretty quickly, which was nice. Gorgord's getting a little bit of movement onto the number 3. The number 1 is still very, very nicely secured by the Greenskins, although some Pestigores and Goreherd moving up, trying to flip this, but just waves of Orc boys moving in now, man. More Savage Orcs moving up to the number 3. And the Orc Shaman with some great value, and what's been going on with the Shaman over here? Finally using the Flocks of Doom, man, I guess. Charging down some infantry on the Chariot. Just hasn't been active enough, man. You gotta make a bigger impact with your Lord early. The Beastmen have really just kind of isolated themselves on these objectives up to this stage of the game. They've evened out the value a lot. A lot of that is because they're just grinding this Giant down, and Grimgore, he's taking a fair amount of damage. He's pretty expensive too. Outside of that, though, they just really haven't been able to make enough headway, and these Brain Burstas have really started to stack up some really nice damage on all of these lightly armored infantry. It does a decent amount of damage, as you can see. Fist of Gork also helps flip a lot of these fights, gives a good burst of damage with the magical damage, as well as the melee defense and melee attack going up. It's one of the better buff spells. It's got a decent duration on it too, of 35 seconds. The buffs and debuffs that are really bad typically just have really short durations. But around 30 seconds or thereabouts is usually what you're looking for in a buff spell. That's usually enough time to use on a mobile unit, like your trolls or spider riders, stuff like that, where they can really use the extra stats to get either big weapon strength online or just a massively uptrade into something like the spider riders can do. I don't think the Centaurs are intending to be escorting the Stone Trolls off the field, but they nevertheless are. 305 kills on Stone Trolls is kind of wild. These things are underrated as hell, honestly. The spell resist and missile resist is really nice. They got good armor values. Bad leadership like all trolls do, but they got a little more weapon strength than your standard variants do. I've noticed that if you use them correctly, they just get absolute shit tons of value. They're excellent at clearing through infantry. Greenskins do take that game. We probably could have fast forwarded through most of that. But I did want to kind of just chit-chat a little bit. Also wanted to keep track of some of the stuff that was going on with the micro here. A lot of blobbing on both sides. Got to be very careful of that. Against higher level players, Searong and Grease Guy, you will get punished for blobbing up like that. And honestly, though, Grease Guy was actually punishing the blobbing pretty hard with the Brain Bursta. That's how this Orc Shaman got 1,000 value, just with the offensive spells. Fist of Gork probably contributed pretty nicely to some uptrades into the infantry. Minotaurs did well, but that's really about it. All of the infantry here downtraded pretty horrendously. You can see the more mobile elements of the Beastman army did much better than their infantry counterparts. 300 kills on Stone Trolls, nasty work, man. Just solid value across the board on the rest of the units. The 8-peak loonies got 1,200, which is pretty wild. You usually don't see them get that much, but that's what good Fanatics casts are gonna get you. A lot of the infantry didn't do as well as I thought they were doing. I guess it's really just the magic and getting good early value and taking the objectives is what kind of won them that game. Oh my god, we have to watch a Hell Pit Abomination game, so this is going to be our next match. Ninja Jack versus Foreskin. This used to be pretty meta for Skaven and land battles versus the Vampire Counts, was double Hell Pit Abomination in a little box. And you would cast Flensing Ruin 1,000,000 times to punish the blobs of vampires. We'll see if if the old school build type works here for that. You would usually see the Sensor Bearer ROR though, because they give immune to psychology, which really helped the Skaven. Obviously, they are not the most stalwart of folk. They're quite scared of the big spooky zombies and skellies. Plague Monks a little less so. Love Plague Monks, dude. Very good unit. Don't bring too many of them, though. 2 is usually about the limit at which they can do some pretty good damage. They can sneak in under the radar, oftentimes. And they just clear out chaff like nobody's business. They've got great stats for a Skaven infantry unit. 38 and 33 when they've got Frenzy and Strength in Numbers active. Good weapon strength values with a decent bonus. Good charge bonus, too. 24 is pretty high for an infantry unit. Ikit rolling in on the Doomflayer. Nice choice for him. Scorch, Crack's Call, and Flensing Ruin. Lots of damage spells. I would like to see Howling Warp Gale anyways, because, you know, Vampire Counts can bring big Flying Lords. They can do some pretty nasty work to you also. I think having it in the back pocket is nice. Although, Crack's Call is going to do some seriously nasty damage. You can see it's 100% AP with 35 damage. That's pretty brutal. And, hold on, I wanted to see the Overcast version again. The Overcast version is basically Sleipnir on a cooldown for WOM, which is pretty crazy. I think everybody here, if you've played against Khorne, you know how dangerous Sleipnir is as a spell. Does disgusting amounts of work. So having that, where you can just pop it on cooldown, is pretty nice, if you get the opportunity to use it. Flensing Ruin usually ends up being better, though, just because it punishes big SEs so hard. And monstrous infantry. Takes some pretty nasty damage from it also. So, Ikit's going to have a field day here if he's allowed to just cast all game. Night Runners, Skirmishing, the Crypt Ghouls, not a bad choice. Looks like an Invocation of Nehek went down on these guys pretty early. Mitigating some of the damage, Heinrich Kemmler needs to be very careful. He's pretty squishy, doesn't have a lot of HP. Also doesn't have the Strider's Cloak, but oh, great bait, dude. Ninja just forced Ikit into the worst possible situation he could be in now. His mass on the Doomflayer is pretty low. He's going to have a hard time pushing out of this. But the Hell Pit Abomination coming in, looking to save his bacon here. Getting some good damage in the meantime on the Crypt Horrors. Flensing Ruin goes down on Heinrich Kemmler, who immediately runs away from the remainder of his army. He's going to take some nasty damage. He's definitely going to need an invo here. Nice little brass orb on the Crypt Ghouls. Got the Tithe wandering into that as well for a little bit of value. The Hell Pit A-Bomb. Doing a very good job of saving Ikit. Ikit took a little bit of damage, but it could have been a lot worse for him. He could be on death's bed right now if he were just stuck in those Crypt Horrors. Skeleton Spears, they are going to poke down the Hell Pit Abomination pretty badly. It's got low melee defense. Armor values are pretty poor as well. Don't want to leave it engaged here too long. Although, using it to go after the corpse cart ain't a bad idea either. At the very least, it's locking it away from the front line, where we've got Poison Wind Globes getting some nasty damage done right now. Just loading up and unwinding into the skeletons and the zombies. They should be able to punish all the blobs here pretty damn hard. Hitting the Crypt Horrors as well isn't bad either. It's going to take a while to work through those guys. And we do have Fellbats jumping on top of the globes now. All of the pit fights, as long as the Poison Wind Globes aren't left to just continually fire in for free, is going to favor the vampire counts. And look at this back pressure with zombies and skeleton spears, man. Pushing up waves onto the back objective for the Skaven. Although 2 Clan Rat spears are going to outcap all of this stuff. They do have full cap weight, while the Skelly Spears and Zombies have the expendable weight, which is pretty rough. The Poison Wind Globes probably did more damage to their own Globadier allies than they did to the Fellbats there. And the Skaven losing wind here without the fire support from their globes. We've got Skaven running for the hills here, some Clan Rats running. We've got more Clan Rats on the retreat here. The Fear is a big debuff to the leadership. -8's pretty gross on these low leadership units. I mean, it's functionally almost 20% of their leadership. Thereabouts. More like 15% now I'm thinking about it. But that's still pretty significant. Having immune to psychology is pretty crucial against the vampire counts, just because everything's got fear. You don't want your units to run away. You need to win sustained grinds against the vampire counts. Either that, or you avoid that at all costs, and you just try to kill all of the important, expensive stuff. Heinrich Kemmler's been getting punished pretty badly, and Ikit firing Storm Demon out here does nail Heinrich. He might crumble out here. You need to pop an invo right now to save this guy. You can't really afford to lose your Lord as the vampire counts, although Kemmler is cheap enough that you could just summon him back in. Although it does look like he's pulling out and his leadership did stabilize. So, Skaven losing on all fronts now. It looks like Ninja Jack has a value lead, which is a horrible thing to see as a player going up against them. Plague Monks in full retreat. They got a lot of kills. Not a lot of value, though. Probably just fighting tons of zombies. The Tithe over here, a whopping 61 value on them with 14 kills, man. That's big work done by this very elite ROR unit. They're making their impact felt, for sure. They, unironically, though, have been allowing the Cryptors to trade pretty well. All the Cryptors are looking pretty damn healthy. We've got another one over here. Devil's Schwarzhofen moving up. Wow, great job with the Fellbats, too. 700 value on this Fellbat just from diving the Poison Wind Mortars. Ouch. Death Runners are over here trying to deal with the Fellbats. I don't love Death Runners. I don't think they're very good in a majority of matchups. I think that against the Dowie, they're really strong. Other than that, though, I can't think of a lot of matchups where I would be bringing them in. They're really only good against heavily armored infantry units. Fighting against chaff like this, yeah, they beat those Fellbats, but they were already pretty damaged. They don't trade that efficiently into chaff. Just because they got low HP and decently low number of models. And shock damage just wrecks these guys. The Fizz Res is what they're very dependent on. So any magic damage dealing units are going to do some nasty work against them. Not to mention the fact that Scab Scraith is one of the best damage items in the entire game. One good Scab Scraith through the Death Runners is going to like almost half their HP, I think. Especially if they're on a full line. This would be a good opportunity to use it for the undead here. We got a grind going against the Storm Vermin Halberds. It's going to take a while to get rid of those guys. We got some Eshin Triads taking down the Corpse Cart. Really nice catch. Ninja does need to rally up a little bit onto the number 3 here. Although the Hell Pit A-Bomb getting dragged down by some Graveguard Halberd who are trading very nicely into it. It's going to take a while for them to kill this abomination. Foreskin definitely needs to move this thing all the way across the field onto the home objective here to try and resecure that. Ikit in the backfield, man, trying to finish off Kemmler. Kemmler doing the best job he could possibly be doing right now, which is just running for his life and invo on himself over and over again, while the trades favoring the undead just about everywhere else, man. You can see the Death Runners do get worn down pretty quickly. They did get some decent value, although the White King's looking pretty juicy here still. Scab Scraith did get used on the Death Runners, it looks like. 110 kills, 976 value on the White King. Very efficient, man. They cost 750, I think, with just Scab Scraith, which is usually what they have. Sometimes people bring them on horseback in, like, matchups against high mobility factions, but usually they do just fine on foot. 2 Cryptars should be able to take down the Storm Vermin Halberds. They're going to do some pretty good damage to the Storm Vermin. Storm Vermin can fight back, but there's just not enough damage to get through the regen here. The Cryptors are going to be able to fight here very comfortably the rest of the game. And there goes the Hell Pit A-Bomb, although it didn't do bad. Wow, it actually got about 1,400 value. I think a little more support for this thing. It could probably have heal capped and gotten even better value. The problem with the Hell Pit A-Bombs is they're so expensive. They're 1,800, I think. It takes a while for them to get their value back in return. Basically, you need them to heal cap as well to justify the price. And Ninja is just running away with the game now, so we'll fast forward. We don't need to watch a losing effort for much longer. Foreskin does throw in the towel here. This name is goated, by the way. I'm sorry, but, I mean, you knew what you were doing, and you committed to the bit. You got me to say it. Very good. White Kings hanging out here, both getting pretty decent value. Kemmler with the goated 18 gold value in damage. That is a performance, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for a resident survivor here. Kemmler, literally just surviving with your Lord sometimes is it's honestly sometimes the best thing you can do. Is just deny value to your opponent. Not letting them die, not losing the leadership can honestly do you a lot of good. Ikit did pretty nicely, but just couldn't finish, man. How often do you hear that, you know? Sometimes that's the best thing you can do against your opponent. Just don't let them finish. Lodestone didn't get a lot of healing done. It was pretty isolated. He got beat up pretty badly by the Skaven, but did leave the Crypt Horrors to be completely unoccupied, and they just farmed fat value that game, man. They had a lot left in the tank at the end there, basically taking no damage on a lot of those guys. Graveguard with the halberds with 1600 value, nasty work. It was a big mistake, though, by Foreskin that gave these guys that much value. Hell Pit A-Bomb should never be sitting on spears or halberds, man. That's okay, Uber. Don't worry about it, man. That's how you learn matchups. Vampire counts are really damn tough. I like the build. I don't know if Poison Wind Globes are all that good here, though. I think you're better off with lots of Jezzails. Especially Natty Buboes. The Natty Bubo sharpshooters can kill the corpse carts at range. As well as shoot down Mortis engines. And they've got Stalk and Snipe, so they can be a little harder to lock down. You can, like, fire a volley with the Natty Bubos, get some damage, reposition them. Try and keep your opponent guessing about where they are going. That's another thing, zombie summons. We didn't see a lot of them from Kemmler. I think we saw like 2 of them at max. Kemmler was running most of that game, but Flying Lords can definitely just fly over the top of your range stuff and drop zombies on top of everything, which is really rough. This is probably a pretty gross matchup for the Skaven to have to try and win. I don't know what you would do, honestly. Let's maybe scheme a little bit real quick. Throt? Would Throt be good here? Just on foot? Because he gets anti-large on foot. Low leadership's not great. No, I don't think he'd be very good here. Probably a Gracier of Ruin with the Dreaded 13th. If you're casting Dreaded 13th, you don't need the passive. It's not going to get you as much work as it normally could. On the Screaming Bell, pretty cheap. You can bring the Warp Storm scroll, just in case, and maybe Howling Warp Gale in the back pocket to shut down flyers. Vampire counts do like flyers. Having the scroll can do some serious damage to them. It's like Tempest, basically. A little bit more powerful, even, just because it's got a longer duration. Excuse me. And Howling Warp Gale also really nice. But Dreaded 13th, just with the 2 casts, hitting your opponent's stuff and being able to summon out the Storm Vermin. Storm Vermin can get in the back line, collapse onto the rear of Crypt Horrors, and start really ripping and tearing through those guys. And then you've also always got Unholy Clamor to raise leadership and lower the vigor of your units. Yeah, we did watch Seji, the Globe's Friendly Fire, their other Globadier allies, kind of killed them instead of the Fellbats, which is pretty brutal. What else can you bring? I don't know how good Rat Ogres are here. Honestly, a Mutant Rat Ogre might not be a bad call here. They're pretty quick. They hit very hard. They could probably beat down on the White Kings pretty badly. Although I didn't hate the Hell Pit Abomination. Maybe you could do some whack-ass double Hell Pit A-Bomb. Control an objective with these guys and just shit tons of Clan Rats. Like the Clan Rats with the swords go in to try and kill the Skeleton Spears and stuff, and just buffer for the Hell Pit Abominations while they try to kill everything else? Question mark? I don't know how effective it would be. But like I said, it was the old school land battles strategy for the Skaven. It was like the one viable build they had against the vampire counts. Yeah, slingers might be good here. That's true. Gorich with the Eviscerate also might not be bad. That'd be pretty interesting to test at least. Let's go see how much damage that does, because I'm pretty sure it's like Celestial Sweep. Yeah, damn, dude. 120 all AP damage in a radius around them. Pretty small radius, though. Stuff would have to be really blobbed up on them to get the most value out of it. Maybe. Maybe. That's going to be something you're going to have to scheme and practice, Uberzig. Give me a sec. I'm going to go download more replays. Oh, we already got this one. Okay, we got Coast v. Skaven. Wow, dude, we are blazing through this tournament already. Holy crap. We're into round 3 already? Seriously? Jesus. That's pretty fast. Dowie High Elves. People are getting into their games. I'm dropping replays over now. Oh, whoop. Wrong way around. There we go. We'll overwrite that autosave too. That's fine. Yeah, 5 cheap slingers to pebble down Cryptors sounds like a pretty good idea. Cryptors do have terrible armor values. I mean, 30, they're not mitigating any damage. Even from, like, Night Runner slings, who don't have a lot of damage output, that'd be perfectly acceptable. I'd be very sketched out by bringing, Skaven Slave slings against the vampire counts, because even a Fellbat's gonna push them off the field pretty quickly. Although maybe if you bring enough Skaven Slave slings, it's too much for the vampire counts to deal with. Oh man, counts versus coast, dude. Let's go. That's fair. Yeah, and Eviscerate is on a pretty long cooldown, so maybe Gorich isn't the way. One can dream, though, you know? If only Gorich were, good, it'd be amazing.
Darkness comes.
Whoops, accidentally muted myself there. Anyways, Ninja coming in here against Eat the Rich. Vampire Coast. Aranessa on the crab here. Interesting option, for sure. She can be kind of squishy, but maybe on the crab she'll be okay. Manon's Luck is a nice little buff for her survivability. With the damage resistance and everything. It's on a 60-second cooldown, so you can use it pretty often. 3 uses on Spearfisher's Net. If you catch the Strugoi Vampire Lord out, he'll get right. Although, it's only on grounded units, though. Damn, that sucks. Okay. Immediately losing a lot of appeal for me, then, in this matchup. Queen Bess coming out. Interesting tool against the Vampire counts. We'll see how it works out. I mean, if it lands shots, it might be able to do some pretty nasty damage, but it's usually hellishly inaccurate. It's got a disgustingly squishy crew. They've got poor leadership, so if they take, like, if they lose half their health, they'll just crumble off the field. Then you gotta sit there and heal them back up for ages to try and get them back in the game. Vampire Coast are going to have a cap weight advantage, which is going to be nice, but in my experience, Back in the day in Warhammer 2, what little multiplayer I did play, Vampire Counts massively favored over Vampire Coast. And especially if you're going to throw your Salt Lord Scuttlers away like this. They just got wrecked by the Fellbats, and the Strigoi Vampire Lord is an absolute asshole. One of the most powerful duelist lords in the game, honestly. Very good against large targets. Brutal damage from Queen Bess so far, but if you really think about it, that's probably like 300 value. Wow, only 124. That may be a little deceptive because it's actually killing lots of models, but I mean, it is only spears and zombies. It's not that big of a deal for the Vampire Counts to take this damage. Hand cannons, not focusing the right target. Honestly, shooting these Crypt Horrors right now would be a better call. They're a little too far forward as well. You need to get your deckhand mobs out in front. Otherwise, your hand cannons gonna just waddle into combat here, and they're probably gonna go down real quick, even to skellies and zombies. Strigoi Lord hanging out in the back, looking for an opportunity, and look at the gunnery mob being taken to task by the Fellbats, who are just farming value off of them right now. Really gross. Night Terrors coming out. Deckhand Mob might be able to help save Queen Bess here. She has gotten 157 kills. It's putting in a little bit of work at least. I still think, though, it's going to get shut down before it can get a lot of value. Although the Dire Wolves here, they're taking some pretty horrendous casualties, man. The Night Terrors and the Deckhand Mobs, putting in the work against them. They do get through. They get a little damage on Queen Bess. Bess looking to drop some more hot shots in here. And the Crypt Horrors actually getting pounded down pretty nicely. Ooh, the flaming attacks on the bomber mobs, maybe. Pretty good answer against those guys. I mean, it's extra damage. It's not like bombs are bad against monstrous infantry either. They're just usually not super effective because a lot of armored infantry, you know, they don't have a weakness to fire, and they're usually decently armored. Crypt Horrors, though, weak to fire and low armor, maybe they do take some pretty nasty damage against them. Hand cannons, not getting any value. That's not good. An Aranessa back here. Oh, talk about a snipeable lord for the Strigoi Vampire Lord, dude. Good grief, dude. Oh my god. Aranessa, no! Local feral tomboy obliterated by evil, ugly monster man. Count Orlok. Looking ass dude. Absolutely dominating that Lord fight. That's pretty much game. I mean, Vampire Coast, they've lost their Lord. Queen Bess is still firing. There's a pretty beat up Vampire Counts army here. Fog of the Damned has been putting in some work with the Tide Calls. I don't know, man. Maybe there's some movement back in the other direction. We do have the Bloody Reaver Deck Guard doing some pretty good damage over here. They might be able to wear out the White King. I would get all the other units off and just leave the Depth Guard here to try and finish the White King off. Syrene's moving up. I'm not sold on them in this matchup either. Like, they're okay against Graveguard, I guess. Just even a little bit of magical damage coming out is gonna wreck them pretty badly, though. There's lots of good spells to use against them. There's Scab Scrape as well, which is really, really dangerous. We'll keep our eye out on these guys. We'll see how they're doing, but you can see the Vampire Coast are pretty far pushed back. Queen Bess has gone down. I didn't see what killed it, but I'm not very surprised to see it off the field now. The front line just wavered way too much for the coast here, and the Bomber Bats really have not been able to do much of anything. They've been handled very effectively up to this stage of the game. Really gross. Really need them to be able to get good value on the Bomber volleys and clear out a lot of the chaff. And if they're fighting, you know, Vampire Lords and Fellbats all game, they have terrible combat stats. They're not going to win those trades. And they're fairly slow, too. I think they've got speed in the 80s. Fellbats have 110 speed. This is like one of the rare instances where you can actually catch something and do damage to it in the air. Aerial combat is so fucked up in this game. It is not fun. They really need to fix the melee animations for aerial combat. We got some volleys going off on the Strigoi Vampire Lord, but he's so healthy, and Aranessa's come back out on the field for round 2. She got a whopping, what, 288 value the first go-around. Oh, he unsummoned Queen Bess. Okay, fair enough, I guess. Vampire Lord does get netted. Are the hand cannons going to get in range in time? Spearfisher's net is 18 seconds. I mean, one good hand cannon volley might be able to dunk on the Strigoi Lord here. We do get all of the stuff popped here. Opal Amulet, we've got Invo. Only one volley gets off before he gets back up in the air, and it didn't really make good contact either. Very rough stuff. Blood Knights, not getting a lot of value. They've kind of gotten worn down pretty damn hard. And the Bloody Reaver Deck Guard over here. Fighting Sternsman. That's going to be a very wet noodle contest, honestly. Like, they're going to do damage to each other that's going to get canceled out, but weight of damage here is going to favor the vampire counts over time. We do have the Unholy Lodestone keeping vigor up on all of the vampire counts units, which is another big X factor for them. Just the fact that your units can have perfect vigor, as long as they're by the corpse carts, means they trade much better into the deckhand mobs over a long grind. And again, in undead matchups, it's all about the grind, dude. There's literally nothing other than just long, grindy engagements going on more often than not. Fellbats and the Devils pulling back a little bit. Vampire counts are looking real thin now, although there's a big wave of zombies, spearmen, some more Fellbats coming in. Ninja has a ton of supplies. I would invest in some, what would I invest in? I don't know, maybe another Graveguard if you've got them, with some more spears, I guess. Just to counter any, like, Mournghouls or anything that might come out. Although maybe 2 Cryptors would be nice as well. It looks like going for the Blood Knights instead, though. Kind of surprised to see Blood Knights here. I guess they are really strong against Mournghouls, so that's a pretty good answer. It's just a lot of shooting. Blood Knights can be worn down at range pretty badly against AP missiles. There are a lot of AP missiles that the Coast can bring out, although a lot of them are not on the field now. Hand cannons get some nasty damage in on the Strigoi Vampire Lord. And Aranessa doing a very good job of netting now. Ether Rich has really rallied back from being in a really awful position early, and a honestly pretty haggard starting force. I mean, Queen Bess it got a lot of kills. I don't know if it was super worth it still. You can always just dodge the shots as well, even with, like, slow-ass units like skeletons. You can still dodge Queen Bess because the Arc of Fire is so high, it takes ages for the shot to land, and if you just move it when the shot comes in, it's just way off target 9 times out of 10. Fellbats all over the hand cannons here. Although you got 2 Fellbats engaged on the front. You engage on the front with one, and the other loops around behind, or just flies over the top and lands on the rear, because then the unit can't walk away from you, and you'll maximize the damage output from both of the units. It's a little thing. You're already winning the game. It's a lot closer than I expected from first glance on these builds. But Aranessa is getting jumped by the Strigoi Ghoul King again. She does have anti-large attacks. She's not a bad duelist either. She just is struggling so much because she's being expected to duel this guy one-on-one, and she doesn't have access to healing. She is also a mortal unit, and her leadership is a little low. Aranessa really is just for the nets. She doesn't do a whole lot else. 3,600 on the Strigoi Vampire Lord. That's a Monday for him. He does that every day. 446 kills on Queen Bess. Didn't pay for itself. Ouch. Look at the hand cannon. 2200 value on it. That's massively inflated by shooting the Strugoi Vampire Lord, who was fine. He healed himself up, engaged in melee, got some units on top of them, and they got shut down pretty hard. I don't know what you do as Vampire Coast against the Counts. The magic was amazing. 2100 value on the caster. Tide Call, obviously very punishing. Man, I don't know. You just don't have the same durability that the Vampire Counts do. As long as they shut down whatever missiles you bring in, I just don't see it. Pistols did okay, too. That's the luck of the draw with SFTs. There's give and take to all of the different tourney formats. Like in Pick 6, sometimes you have to play factions you're not super familiar with. Or you're just playing matchups, period, that you're not familiar with. SFTs, you can get really unlucky with your single faction you're bringing. And just get horrendous matchups the entire tournament. It has happened to me. I think it's happened to everybody at least once. Let's see some Kislev versus Skaven action. Kislev's actually pretty good against the Raki, I think. They got very good infantry units. Your standard armored Kossars aren't too terribly expensive. Yashkaf's going very elite here with the Ice Guard, with the swords here. A little risky when there's so many good range damage tools available for the Skaven. I think your better bet is bringing lots of cavalry and just trying to absolutely hammer down the front line before enough damage is done to you. Then you waddle in your infantry after and start gunning stuff down that way. We've got Death Frost, we've got Ice Maiden's Kiss, Frost Shield for the armor and missile block chance, and the Horse Archers moving up. I don't like Horse Archers into Skaven. They're Night Runners and Gutter Runners, if they do bring them. Usually trade pretty well into your Horse Archers. There's Fizzres, good range on these guys. They do just fine in the trade, and they're also significantly cheaper. Horse Archers are 600, 650 gold. They're up there. They're pretty pricey. Warplock Gisele's moving forward. They do nasty damage to Horse Archers also. We do have some Poison Wind Globes moving up. In addition, Winged Lancers. Need to cap the point. Don't forget to get it on there, although maybe these guys will be able to cap it as they move over. So, Yashkaf skirmishing pretty nicely early on. Not taking too much damage. Kramer definitely needs those Giselles to have been shooting already. Anytime your opponent's skirmish cav are left out in the open field right in front of your Giselles, you gotta open up with them. They do such good damage in response. Little Grom opening up, big damage on Ikit right off the bat, man. Ikit on the Doom Flare also getting hit by Death Frost. He might get sniped out here. Ikit is already getting pounded. Needs to probably get up in the trees for a little bit. And just avoid that. Force Little Grom to use ammo on other stuff. Yeah, you don't want to get shot. You don't want to get the Warplock Giselle shot up. It's a better time than having your Lord get killed as the Skaven because your leadership is so bad. And look at the patience from Yashkaf. Actually using the cavalry pretty effectively. Although here the Winged Lancers are trying to push past. Both of them get stuck up. Just some complimenting it. I thought these guys were getting a charge off, but they're actually just waddling into a horrible spot. There's spears engaging on them. They're not doing any damage to these clan rats here. They're just getting massively bogged down into this blob here. Snow Leopard Summon coming out. Man, Yashkaf going in deep for Ikit here. Using a summon to do damage to him ain't bad, and these Snow Leopards have good damage output against large targets. They're pretty quick, and they have Frostbite, so Ikit's not going to have a good time getting away from this thing. Need the Storm Vermin here to buffer for Ikit. and Ikit could roll through the Storm Vermin and pull the Snow Leopard off of him, he might actually break en route here, which would be devastating for the Skaven. Because they're in a bad spot. Jezzails get jumped on by the Horse Archers. How the Winged Lancers do... Oh my god, no! You can't let this happen! Winged Lancers just got wrecked by hordes of garbage. That is a huge mistake for Kislev, man. They would be in a winning position if they didn't just throw their cavalry in willy-nilly back here, man. Ice Switch helping kill the Jezzails, but trading out the Horse Archers. Both of them offline here, pretty much. We're losing the things in the woods. Kislev's just going in too scattered, honestly. That's my biggest complaint right now. I know you don't want your infantry to take a ton of damage, but you do need them to be pushing in conjunction with your dives to maximize the opportunities that you're presented with. Because going in split like this, all the infantry have been able to just swarm over the skirmishers and the heavy cavalry, and they just haven't gotten a damn thing done. Like, we got 500 value on this Winged Lancer, and the other one got 100 value. You cannot let that happen. And the Ice Switch just dives in on a whim, just to get killed by swarms of Rat Ogres. We've got Griffin Legion coming out. Again, gonna get dragged down by a horde of just garbage infantry, which you can't afford to have happen. Little Grom gets jumped on by Death Runners and Clan Rat Spears. You can see mass problems for Little Grom here. Now that it's surrounded, it's got okay values, but it's so slow. It's not really able to collide through units. Costified Dervishes come in and save its bacon, thankfully. And the Death Runners disengaged before they finish that fight. I guess they didn't want to take too much damage, and they do need to clear off the Kossars and the Ice Guard. Now, the Ice Guard with swords ain't bad here. They'll do okay. It's not like Yashkaf has lost this game. Somehow the Ice Switch escaped. The Griffin Legion did break through onto the Poison Wind Mortars. So, lots of range tools getting shut down for the Skaven. How much value do these guys have? They got 246 kills. Only 600 value, though. Ikit getting worn down. I don't know, man. This game's not over, and Little Grom killing Ikit here, man. Oh my god, beautiful shot. Ikit's leadership breaks. He's probably not going to rally. He's only got 400 HP left. He doesn't have a lot of leadership to begin with. Costified Dervishes moving over. Kislev might win this just because the Lord died here. Although their own Lord is routing off, but they're a high leadership faction. They don't care nearly as much. Too much is running after her right now. Finally, we do get a rout, or a rally, I should say, not a rout. A rally from the Skaven, moving their Storm Vermin, Rat Ogres, Clan Rats forward, looking to rally up on the points. Kislev is holding on to the point just barely here. The Death Runner's doing some good damage to the Ice Guard. They've got a little help here, so even though the Ice Guard with swords do have magic damage to get around the physical resistance... Good grief, please. I want to see the card here. Death Runners, you can see, they're very reliant on that Phys Res. They've still gotten good value, though. This might be a matchup where they can do some good work. Lots of Zargard and heavily armored infantry. If they sneak into good engagements, I can see how they value trade really nicely against Kislev. The Weeping Blades is also nice for the damage output for the units around them, because it lowers armor by 50%. So on really high armor value units, like against Zargard, they go down to 45 armor, which is a brutal debuff to their survivability. Rat Ogres moving in, hammering down this Griffin Legion, which still hasn't paid for itself despite having almost 400 kills. That's a Skaven moment. Also something that you see against Undead oftentimes. But Kislev, despite being down in value, quote-unquote, I think is in a winning position right now. You know, the Skaven lost their Lord. Little Grom, Little Grom does get attacked by the Wolf Rats back here. Probably going to be going down. If Little Grom were online all game, it's not like it's done poorly for itself. It did help finish Ikit, but It's leaving a lot of value on the table with 7 shots left. Hasn't really been great. Just the 2 shots on Ikit. Maybe it's enough. I just would love to see a little more protection for that thing. Armored Kossars getting worn down back here. Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers, Storm Vermin with shields. Rat Ogres moving to the home objective. We do have some Armored Kossars over here. More Winged Lancers coming out. It's really the mobility play of Kislev that's left a lot of value on the table. The infantry have done pretty okay. You can see they've basically gotten their value back, but more Kossars and stuff not trading well. The Ice Guard have also not traded great. They're just really low armor with Death Runners and like Clan Rats just swarming all over them. They've been struggling pretty mightily. A lot of Sensor Bearers coming in, which is a very wild choice. But they've been a good answer to the Zargard Great Weapons and the Elite Infantry of Kislev. And then, obviously, there's just plenty of swarming elements from the Skaven anyways. Like, lots of Clan Rats with some Rat Ogres and stuff to back them all up. Ikit resummoned. Remoldered Ikit. You know, he went and paid for some treatments from Clan Molder. Got him back out on the field. Looking nice and fleshy and, you know, angry. He's got his little war cry going. Rolling in here, looking to drop some magic. Skaven look like they're going to wear out Kislev here. Kislev's just made too many mistakes with their mobility, man. I mean, the Winged Lancers, every time they get a good charge, Yashkav does stuff like this. Like, why are you trying to push through these Clan Rats? Like, your unit gets through scattered, they take damage as they're trying to do this also. Just hammer into the Skaven. Pull out through your Armored Kossars and loop around. That's the best way to use your Winged Lancers here, in my opinion. They're going to charge down the Sensor Bearers. This is where they can finally start getting some good value. They get a nice charge off too, and with Glorious Charge, they'll probably be able to crush these guys on the leadership and still get some good attacks in. You know, they got decent weapon strength. And charge bonus is just so insane for the Winged Lancers. You can see him wearing these guys down. Finally pushing them back. Horse Archers poking away too. Kislev doing well in some areas, just a little too scattered for my liking. Wide engagements against wide factions, usually not how you want to play it. Minimizing the area of initial contact while using your mobility to hammer outer edges of the formation isn't a bad way to go. That's kind of what Yashkav was going for. But the problem was that these Skaven just overwhelmed all of the stuff here early. And Yashkav was way too slow pulling the Winged Lancers out of bad engagements. And value traded way too poorly early. And all of the good work here at the end, it's great, but you've lost a lot of objectives. You're fighting on your home point a ton. The Skaven are starting to get a little bit of movement back on the ticket front. They're about to surpass you. And you just don't have enough on the field. There's just a handful of scattered, depleted units out here for Kislev. And all the while, man, these Death Runners have just been doing great, honestly. I'm very surprised that they've done as well as they are. That's a credit to Kramer, for sure. I definitely would not have been able to do nearly as well with those guys. I usually think they're a pretty poor option. But maybe there's a niche for them. Maybe it's just good, solid micro and finding good engagements that can get these guys big value. I mean, they've got all the tools available to them. Weeping Blade alone gives them a good niche as a unit that can boost the DPS of your Clan Rats. Also, Rat Ogres, they've got a majority AP. But, you know, any extra damage from their base weapon strength ain't bad either. Grinding down the Armored Kossars here. Kislev's holding this back point. Snow Leopard coming out. The summon again, dude. It could taken the charge head on just to get it locked in on the Eshin Triads, who will make pretty short work of this summon, probably. You can see him collapsing around it. Snow Leopards have really bad mass. Only 1,200. They're not going to push out Look how quickly they tear this thing apart, too. Oh my god. And it's only got 3,000 HP, so it's pretty squishy on the HP front. Breaks, runs, Skaven, moving out, just throwing bodies up on the point. Kind of what they've been doing all game. Just fully committing to this grinding playstyle. Especially against a very elite faction isn't a bad call. Especially when your opponent's making big mistakes with their mobility. Just committing more and more bodies out onto the field to force more and more engagements from mobility into concentrated positions. Not really gonna hurt you too badly. We got things in the woods coming out. You know, they're good against storm vermin. That's about it, though. They're just low armor, so against tons of clan rats, they're not going to trade well, and against Ashen Triads, they're going to do horrendously. You can see them isolated out here, dragged to their doom. Kramer, just establishing dominance on the entire battlefield now. Fast forwarding through the rest of this game, the damage values are very borked right now. The Winged Lancers have come out enough that they're not counting for any damage that Skaven are doing now. By the second and the third time units are back out on the field, it just stops tracking entirely. It's very wonky in that regard. I would like to see Domination Mode get a limit on how many times you can resummon units. I've been thinking about it for a while. And I feel like something that you can do is limit reserve summons to 2. And then units in your starting army you can bring out 2 times as well. Just to incentivize people bringing their more valuable stuff in the opening so they can resummon it multiple times. Although maybe it's worth playing around with that and reducing that down. It'd just be nice. That way people don't just spam out the same unit over and over and over again. And then it really incentivizes people to think about their builds a little bit more. And the variety would be a little stronger, I think. Just an idea for the future. 500 kills on the Griffin Legion. I think they did come in 2 times though. I don't think they did as well the second. That's pretty crazy though. Even with that, if it was 1 life, they barely paid for themselves after all that work. Lizard's Dowie, we've got Yashkaf and Uberzig playing here. We've got some more replays. Dark Elves vs. Khorne, we're going to have to go watch that one. Our boy Pizu. We haven't spec'd a lot of his matches either, so it'll be a good opportunity to cheer him on. And, if need be, coach him up. But Pizu has been doing really well. Let me rename these autosaves real quick, guys. 1 sec. Two Vampire Coast matchups is pretty nasty, Ninja. Did you win them both? We watched you win your first game against them. Oh, hell yes, dude. Oh my god. So System did lose last week against the Dark Elves. I think it was either in the finals or the semifinals. I think it was in the semifinals. I gave him some advice about how to use skull cannons. We'll see how it goes, man. Let's go, Ninja. Yeah, I hear that, Fabrosi. I was talking about it when we were watching Ninja's first Coast game. Back when I played land battles in Warhammer 2. I didn't play a ton, but I had a friend who loved Vampire Coast. And I played a lot of counts. We played that matchup like 15 times probably, and I think he won 2 games off of me. And he was a good player. Counts are just so durable, and the Fellbat dives onto the gun line is so nasty because the guns are so terrible. They get killed by Fellbats. Fellbats usually are just a distraction. So when they can actually get value by killing a unit, it's even more brutal. Very nice build. From system, we've got some Chaos Warriors with some Marauders. Not overcommitting to the infantry. We've got Corn Corps running for the hills, immediately seeing all these Scourge Runners. Skull Cannons opening up. Getting a little damage on the Dark Riders, nothing crazy. Killing a couple models, just a little bit of damage. Scooting them forward, not leaving them on fire at will is an absolute must. Valkia needs to be careful, though. She doesn't want to take a bunch of fire, and here we go. Spin to win, baby! Dodge it! Ooh. Little bit of a volley gets off there, but pretty clean movement, though. Wow, it actually didn't take any damage. Okay. Another shot goes in. You know, cavalry can push out of the vortex, but it does decent damage to them even as they're moving past. I don't hate the counterfire here. It's not gotten a ton of value, but it is forcing Micro from Pizu. The thing that the Skull Cannons really should focus on, though, is the Scourge Runner Chariots. Because Skull Cannons do disgusting damage to Scourge Runners. We'll see if System is going to get some shots online. And we'll see what Pizu's able to do here. The Scourge Runners doing some good damage to the Chaos Warriors now. Skull Cannons posting up, taking some nasty volleys, man. The Scourge Runners do have a very good profile on their missiles. They do have a bonus versus large. Valkia needs to be real careful here. Cultists do get into combat on the Dark Riders over here, which is really damn nice. They're going to do some good damage to them. They start charging up for the Bloodletter Summon. Bloodletter Summon going to be really nice for trapping Cold One Knights or against infantry engagement from the Dark Elves here. Minotaurs do not want this smoke. They need to get the hell away. They're going to get absolutely wrecked by the Scourge Runner fire. You can see big damage coming in already. They are just running in, and Scourge Runners are way faster. You're never going to catch these guys. Does pull out finally. Dark Riders taking some damage. I really would save the volleys on the Skull Cannons from here. And use them to try and shoot down the Scourge Runners. But I don't know if System knows how good they are against those guys. Cult is doing big damage to the Cold One Knights. Excuse me. Khorne pushing up infantry now. Skull Cannons doing what they do best. They're very inaccurate if they're firing from like even a slight incline. Firing onto slopes really hurts them and their damage output. Oh wow. Pizu with a little bit of a mistake running through the Corn Gores here. Scourge Runner Chariots have good mass. They do a little damage, but they do take some in return. We do have full movement from the Dark Rider Repeater Crossbows to the low ground here. Skull Cannons looking to open fire. Chaos Warriors sticking here on the point with Valkia, who's decently healthy. She's doing alright. The Cold One Knights are having an awful time. They're trying to charge down the Chaos Warriors. They've taken serious damage from the Chaos Warriors, and the Cultists here are just being huge dicks. These guys are such bullies. I mean, they're really obnoxious to try and kill. They are very tanky. They've got good armor. They've got decent HP pools. The summon is really gnarly. Sleipnir goes down and just wrecks the Bleak Swords. The Dark Elf Infantry never trade well in this matchup, in my experience. Khorne's Infantry are just so freaking gross. I mean, they are a gnarly faction when it comes to the infantry trading game. And you've got tools to kill infantry outside of your own, which is even nicer, because Skull Cannons are pretty good at clearing out swarms as well. Skull Cannons haven't gotten a lot of value, but they're very healthy, which is great for Khorne. Because the second that Bleak Swords and stuff start to move forward, they can just go engage the Inman combat. It's going to be so freaking hard for the Dark Riders to shoot them at that point. It's honestly not even going to be worth it. We do have a bit of a rout going on back here on the #1 objective. The Marauders have been run over, and the Chaos Warriors also getting iced out now. They did get good value across the board, though. We do have Soulblight going down, so it looks like all of the magic choices are Doom and Darkness and Soulblight for the debuffs, which is a really good call. I do like those options. Scourge Runners have used a lot of their ammo. A lot of it has been on infantry. They're going to be really nice chariots in the late game. But their value is looking a little lacking, all things considered. They haven't been able to shoot at Minos or the Skull Cannons a whole bunch. And the Skull Cannons, even though they've been pretty inaccurate this game, like I said, still being healthy, are going to be very good at just grinding through Witch Elves and Bleak Swords. And Chaos Warriors, they take the charge from the Scourge Runners. They actually get some good damage off in return with their charge bonus, which is kind of funny. I mean, even these heavily armored Chaos Warriors have a charge bonus of 22, which is pretty crazy, and they're going to beat Witch Elves. Witch Elves have a pretty rough time against armor, even with Witch Brew active. They might be able to kill the Chaos Warriors just because they're already worn down. But with the Skull Cannons running through them, it will probably eventually swing in Khorne's favor. A big, big Soul Blight going down. Trying to help these Bleak Swords, but they're fighting Khorne Gores. The Cultist back here has found the Footcaster. That's why you don't bring Footcasters against Khorne. If your opponent brought a Cultist or a Blood Reaper, goodbye Footcaster. They're just going to get hounded into oblivion. They're never going to be able to disengage properly. And man, the Cultists have just been a massive roadblock. I mean, this one here has gotten its value back already. The other one, not nearly as good, but still wearing down Bleak Swords over time, I think has used the summons. Yeah, the summons have come out from both. They usually get about 200 value, you know, so that can be added into the value that the Cultists have got. Valkia has been used very effectively this game, being very careful with her. Need to get her away from the Witch Elves. Immediate micro away from them. And the Skull Cannons. Blasting stuff in direct combat. Furies definitely need to land and start doing damage to the Cold One Knights. Just to distract damage away from the Skull Cannon. And they also have good DPS against Cold One Knights. Low melee defense here. Very high melee attack. And decent weapon strength as well. Wow, and look at the Fleshhounds getting into the back line against the Dark Riders with some Minotaurs, man. Big losses for Pizu, but it's a really close game. And here comes the dive from the Furies. High Beastmaster still trying to get some work done. Skull Cannons looking very nice here. They've been soaking up a lot of damage, attracting a lot of dives from Cold One Knights, who have struggled a little bit up to this point, which is unfortunate. Scourge Runners, they've been carrying their weight for sure, but you can just see how badly the infantry have been doing. I mean, they've been coming in waves and just not really getting a lot done. Bloodrack Shrine on the field now. Skull Cannons can actually do big damage to units like this with their cannon shots. There you go. Very good shot goes down. Does some good work against the Shrine, taking about 300-something HP off of it. Valkia beating up on the Beastmaster. Cultist and Valkia, even though they're infantry-sized and this thing has anti-infantry damage, it's mostly non-AP. They should be able to beat it if they get on top of it. Witch Elves are very good against Khorne Gores. I will tell you that. That's going to be a really nice trade for the Dark Elves. The problem is they are losing the cap race. They're about to fall behind. They're barely holding on to the #2 as it is. There's Khorne Gores all over the field just hanging out on objectives. Fleshhounds coming out, using them as mass. Perfectly played there. I'm sorry I did this to you, Pizu. I'm really sorry. I coached System up a bunch last week after he lost to the Dark Elves in the semis. So this is 100% on me. I gave him the advice that's putting him in the winning position now. I hate to betray you like this. Fleshhound's running down all the skirmishers, 1,000 value, and they're very healthy still. Really clean play on those guys. Furies landing on top of the Sorceress, trying to finish her. Sword of Khorne comes down. Adding insult to injury. Takes like over half the HP off the Witch Elves and actually kills a ton of models too. Usually Sword doesn't kill a bunch of models, but on Elfish units who have very low HP pools, forget about it. It's really gross. Bloodrack Shrine, doing okay. It's actually gotten some okay value here. It is sitting on top of Khorngors. If the Fleshhounds turn around after killing these Scourge Runners, they're going to be able to kill the Shrine. And then the Skull Cannon can turn around and start shooting again. I mean, you can see the Skull Cannons being as healthy as they are into the late game, even if they don't do well early on, they can still just continue to grind out value with their melee damage. I mean, it's not crazy output. Their weapon strength is really damn high, though. And they're just such a frustrating unit to have to contend with, especially when you've got, like, double cultists and stuff. Cultists are just so solid, man. People have forgotten. They used to be meta for a reason. I mean, literally, before Omens came out, every single Khorne build was double cultist and Valkia. You never saw anything else. And it still works to this day. And it's honestly a little bit better because you don't have to bring them all the time in every single matchup. Bloodrack Shrine getting shot down and run down by Hounds, by Skull Cannons, by Khorngors, Cultists here. Skull Cannon running over these Witch Elves who have had an awful matchup this entire game. Just haven't been able to get enough value to justify their cost. And the Minotaurs, you know, they haven't done amazing. This one certainly. They've been very disruptive, though. Anytime you're chasing your opponent's stuff back and forth in their own deploy zone, as Khorne, you know you got them on the back foot. And, I mean, just a rock-solid triple cap across the field. When Khorne is doing well, they look like the most unbeatable faction in the world. It can be very discouraging to experience. Pizu did really well with the Scourge Runners. They just didn't end up getting all that much value at the end of the day. Like I said, System did a very good job of playing disciplined with the Skull Cannons and the Warriors, keeping the infantry position to buffer out the strong missiles of the Dark Elves. And just slowly building up behind all that before committing to a big fight. And the Cultists, very disruptive tools, man. They're really good against Bloodrack Medusas. They're a little less good against the Shrine. But there's a lot that they're able to accomplish just by being on the field and hounding stuff down. They're very vulnerable to dragon characters. Double Cultist is... The counter Double Cultist was Malekith. Malekith would kill the Cultists. He could kill Skull Cannons. But there's tons of options for Khorne now. You can't expect them to be bringing the same thing every time. Yes, System. Skull Cannons are good against Scourge Runners. If they're hitting shots, of course. But Scourge Runners have pretty low HP on the models. About 1,000 each. Skull Cannons, also, I think Skull Cannons can double hit the Scourge Runners. Because Chariots have buggy hitboxes sometimes. I think that they can just absolutely mulch through those guys by double hitting them sometimes. I think we're getting into the semis now, so... Oh no, it looks like we're a little late getting into round 4. Okay, well, that's fine. JP was playing in one of the tournaments, so we had a little bit of extra time between rounds, which isn't all that bad. Gives people time to wind down a little bit, honestly. Yeah, that's one of my few complaints about tournaments. Yeah, I see that now, Pizu. It's one of my few complaints that I have with tournaments, is just how breakneck they are sometimes. Like, having a little bit of time between rounds would be nice every now and then. Like a break between 3 and 4 before getting into the semis and finals and stuff. Just because I get hungry, you know. I need to eat my Brussels and chicken, man. When do I have time? Yeah, there we go. Look, just seriously, just do your thing, guys. Just communicate with your opponents. Most people are pretty understanding. We got rid of most of the people who were doing all the weird account sharing and were like cheesing the game and their opponents. So there's a lot more leeway than there used to be. As long as you're upfront with people and tell them what you're doing, they're pretty understanding. Eat something good, Ninja. Nothing better than a good brekkie. So, we got lots of Saurus warriors. We got some Saurus warriors with shields here, some without shields. Red-crested skinks, always good against Dowie. A red-crested skink chief on foot. I don't... okay, sure. Very odd choice for a lord against the dwarves, in my opinion. Honestly, I think Gorok's probably one of the better options against the Dowie. He is impossible to kill for them. He's got great stats. He's got, the Mace of Ulamog, which imbues Dazed onto targets that he's fighting. If you pair up a Rev Crystal with Gorok, it can be really hard for the Dowie to finish him, even if they've got all these characters, because the characters are actually pretty slow. As long as you can keep Gorok on the move, he can usually stay away from the worst that the Dowie have to offer. Miner's hanging out in the forest here, looking to ambush those skinks. We got a bunch of chameleon stalkers coming up. No way, dude. Are they going for the cannon? They must be, because Uberman in this chevron cannon, kind of a mainstay now. I honestly have been pretty impressed with it for the most part. There are definitely factions that it works better against. Against lizards, it would probably be pretty good pretty consistently. Ripperdactyls are kind of needed to kill the Dowie warriors. And also dive Bugmans and Quarrelers and stuff. Oh, excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. So, oftentimes, the Ripperdactyls are a little too occupied to be able to dive back here on cannons, like they normally could. Stalkers are a pretty good option. They do have Stalk, and they've got Physres and Missile Resist, and the Precursor missiles hit pretty hard. Keeping the Dowie Warrior back here is really nice. We got the Bastillodons finally moving forward. It's been ages since Legatus has gotten these guys going anywhere. Really need to be holding on to a objective. I'm playing so cautiously right now. But I guess you don't need a aerial unit to counter gyros when your solar engines are absolutely dunking on them right now. Gyros down to about half their HP, man. They've taken some serious hits here. Let's keep an eye out on the flank of the gods, man. Legatus being very sneaky with those guys. That's really clean micro. Oh, and look at the surround coming in from the red-crested skinks, dude. Uberman not paying attention over here. Notices at the last moment, but the dive is on now. Miner's going to get isolated and killed here. Honestly, maybe it was worth it trading out some tickets just to get a really clean engage over here. Because the Dowie look like they're going to be thinking about committing stuff over here, which would be a big mistake. They really should just hunker down on their 2 and the 3. They're using the gyros a little too aggressively. I mean, this is a good unit, but they are squishy. 4,000 HP isn't that much. I know they've got 100 armor, but you can't overestimate that on a low HP pool. Playing loose with these guys, they can get punished pretty damn hard. You need them to be able to control the battlefield. They need to be out so that they can respond to big stuff that might be trying to flank. You need them to dive back and help out against chameleon stalker dives that come out of the ether, seemingly. Because this is going to be a big moment where Uberman might start to panic if the cannon gets shut down here by the chameleons. You can see their javelins doing some pretty good damage on the way in, man. I mean, it's no joke how much AP the explosive damage has. I mean, 7 isn't the most in the world, but the explosion radius is decently large. So even against the Dowie warriors, it can do something. Ripperdactyls don't need to be going in over here. Not where they should go. They should go up to the high ground. And they need to dive over the top when all of the infantry engage the front line. Doing it split like this, you're going to see Quarrelers, Ulthar's Raiders, everything turning their attention to start shooting these guys down, and they're going to start taking some serious damage, potentially. They're very squishy. Blasting charges can also do damage to Ripperdactyls, too. And you can see there, they're just starting to melt. These ones have Ulthar's Raiders ability on them. The Hex, marks by Ulthar. They are going to take extra damage. One of them is probably going to be able to get out of here, but one of them routing already. Big loss. Oh, and blasting charges come forward. Iron Breakers, no less. Saving this cannon's bacon, dude. And a 1,200 gold dive shut down very well by Uberman. Really good attention right there. Not giving the Lizards any opportunity to take that elite cannon offline. And this crew, man, the gold chevrons actually hanging in pretty nicely. Turning the cannons to finish off the Ripperdactyls too, potentially. Ripper's still trying to shut down all these missiles alone. It's just too scattered of an engagement. Like, you've got the number 1. Don't overextend into a Dowie position where you don't have a numbers advantage. Like, force all those missiles to have to move up to support the middle ground here, while you use your infantry to engage the front, some of the missiles as well. Then the Ripperdactyls can land in the back line. They'll be a little safer than just diving all alone with no support out here on the number 3. You don't have to triple cap the Dowie, especially if you hang on to your points early. I was thinking maybe Legatus was onto something, but I don't know. I think Legatus is kind of psyching himself out for this matchup. And overplaying the hand a little bit. Like, breaking down a lot of the missiles now. We'll see what they're able to do. The Ancient Salamanders getting some great fire in here. Doing a very good job of wearing down the Bugmans. Some of the Dowie Warriors and other ranged tools. And the Coldorn Riders break through and just completely wreck the Ulthar's Raiders here. And some tattered Ripperdactyls, they rally back in. They've got 9 models still. They're going to do some big damage to the Bugmans. Bugmans have a heal. I don't know if they're going to be able to heal through the big damage that the Rippers are contributing in here, though. What's going on with the Skink Chief? Fighting the Rune Lord, toe-to-toe. I don't know who wins this combat. Kind of curious. I mean, Rune Lord's not great in melee combat, and the red-crested Skink Chief does have 65 melee attack, which is pretty juicy. Also poison, just to debuff the weapon strength on the Rune Lord. Not great weapon values either. Legatus rallied pretty nicely from being down early. Longbeard's moving on to the number 1 though. The number 3 still controlled by the dwarves, but a lot of routing units here, although Iron Breakers are moving up now. The cannons are back online. They're going to do big damage to these Cold One Riders if their cannon shots hit. And they get one good volley off here. Another one comes in, takes out several models. Starting to get worn down there. Ancient Salamander is a good skirmish unit. It's better off in the starting army, though. Bringing it in reserve can lose you a lot of momentum on taking objectives. And it's going to be triple cap territory. The Dowie are just going to have to Helm's Deep on one point. And it's honestly not out of the realm of possibility for them to be able to, like, scrap back onto another one of these objectives. They're barely losing the number 2. There's not a lot up here for the Lizards. It's mostly the Cold One Riders and the SEs that are out on the field still. Got Rippers coming back in. We've got some Red-Crested Skinks. A couple of Chameleon Skinks up here. Solar Engines are really nice. They're out of ammo, though. This one's got 2 shots left. The other is completely out. They've taken quite a bit of damage. The Terror is going to be interesting. We'll see if that makes a big difference, but I wouldn't anticipate a huge performance. And the Dowie just have more units out on the field. Like, even their tattered units are still semi-functional. There's still cap weight. And, you know, tattered ranged units, like the Ulthar's Raiders here, yeah, they got no HP, but they got 30 models. That's still some serious damage output from those volleys. So you still have to commit something to shut them back down. This is usually where the Dowie can start to just re-engage and outgrind their opponent again. Is by rallying up their tattered missiles, getting good value out of them, shooting down expensive stuff, slowly wearing their opponent thin. Runesmith might die here, though. The Ripperdactyls did have him surrounded. He's at 1 HP. Boom. Dunzo for the Rune Lord, but the Dowie leadership is still going to be pretty firm. They don't rout. Hardly ever, man. Even the basic Dowie warriors have 70 base leadership on a 425 gold unit, or 450 gold for the Dowie warriors. On a cheap chaff unit like that, that's great leadership. They just hang in for ages, man. Makes it really difficult to deal with them. Croxagore is getting shot by the cannon. How much value does the cannon have? 2,100 value on the cannon. Oh my god. So is a gold chevron, a full gold chevron cannon, just like the answer for some of the Dowie woes? Because it's done a very good job of shooting down a lot of the big units for the Lizards, man. I mean, it's farmed up value on Cold One Riders. Croxagores are getting hammered. Did a little damage to some Ripperdactyls. It is out of ammo. Well worth it, though, for the price point, man. Crazy good stuff. And the Gyros over here get 1,500 value. This is their second summon. They didn't do that well the first time around. They've actually farmed up enough value that they dive into melee to support the Dragonback Slayers, who are just putting in tons of work on the Solar Engine here. Just taking some serious heat from these guys. I mean, they do imbue Flammable as well. They don't have flaming attacks themselves, so they don't self-buff. But there are a decent number of fire damage units on the Dowie roster. So they can synergize a little bit. Even without that, though, they do still slow. Like, a 30% slow ain't bad. This Bastildon ain't going nowhere. It's going to be going down. The Dowie are sending Chameleon Stalkers to the high ground. They didn't do all that great the first time around. They might be able to finish off these Longbeards. If they could get the Precursor ammo onto the Dragonback Slayers, that's where the most value could be had, because that would do nasty work against the Slayers here. Skink Chief, 800 value on this guy. I mean, he's cheap as hell, but just not very impactful as a Lord option, honestly. Lizardmen do take the number 3, and wow, they are securing all the points now. You can see Dowie just being little waddlers, man. Really struggling to get up on the points again. I'm not sure what the problem with Uberman's build here might be. I think maybe trying to push too many objectives again. Like, just focusing on 2 objectives all game, honestly, is pretty much the best thing you can do for yourself. don't want to overextend because your units are so slow. You just cannot afford it at all under any circumstances. And wow, Terror Rout's actually being pretty devastating. Halved the health on the Slayers. Oh my goodness, disaster. Dude, that Ancient Salamander shot was gross. Oh, ew. Oh my god. 1,600 value on the Ancient Sally. Coming out in reserve, honestly, not ending up being that big of a deal. It still got its full value. Solar Engines have been okay. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the Solar Engines, personally. I prefer bringing, like, one Rev Crystal and one Solar Engine. I think Ancient Salamanders are just outright better as a missile piece than the Bastiladons. The Bastiladons are just so slow. Their debuff is really nice. They're good against factions that suffer against the magical damage and flaming attacks. Because the Ancient Salamander doesn't do magic damage and it doesn't imbue blinded onto the units it's shooting at. But it's just much more consistent against blobbed up infantry, in my experience. The Solar Engines are best against Wood Elves and some of the Demon factions, in my opinion. Less so against the Dwarves, but they've done fine for themselves. 900 value ain't bad. And the Terror has been pretty good, which I don't think the Ancient Salamander does have. Does it? Oh wow, it does, so don't even have a benefit over it in that department. I just think the Rev Crystal healing is a little bit stronger. You can bring one Rev Crystal. You get 7 uses out of the heal. 10% heal on each use, and Lizardmen have a lot of very high HP units, so a 10% heal can be as little as 600 HP on, like, the Chameleon Stalkers, or it can be as much as 800. Or, God forbid, you have the Dread Saurian and you're using the Rev Crystals on that guy. Because then you're getting 1,500 HP healed out of each use of the Rev Crystal. Lizardmen just have a lot of really flexible builds, and it looks like they're going to be taking this game, man. Because the Dowie are overstretching themselves. They're just not able to outcap the Skink Swarms. They are moving to the high ground here with a lot of units, blasting charges, some miners. Dragonback Slayers up top here got 1,800 value almost. Chameleon Skinks did finish them off. They've done much better this go-around. They're an annoying unit. One Chameleon Stalker mixed into your builds can be really nice. Bringing multiple of them I wouldn't really recommend usually. They're a little lackluster in terms of their damage output in melee. It's really their precursor missile and their resilience with the Physres and missile resistance that I like them for. They can be a really nice unit to sit on top of Croxigors as a skink and stick in combat for a long time. And the Terror Routes, dude, just ruining the Dowie's ability to hang in and fight here. Ulthar's Raiders get caught by red-crested skinks. They're going to go down here. The top objective does flip, but it's too late for them. It took them way too long to get back on these points. And Legatus, after a pretty rough start, is actually going to be able to rally in here, doing a really good job in the later stages of this match. Locking in and taking down these slow Dowie units one by one. Divide and conquer all day, man. And you notice when the cannon went offline as well, a lot of pressure was let up off of the big units for the Lizardmen. That's when they came out and started doing some serious damage. Because they weren't just getting chunked down by this very annoying artillery piece. Solars were fine. Ancient Sally was an absolute nightmare, man. 1,900 value and 186 kills. Oof. You know, man, I don't know what you do as Uberman. I think the gyro play was just a little too aggressive. You've got the cannon for long-range poke. I don't think you need anything else, really. Gyros are your response tool. I mean, they're, you know, your air cav, basically. That's how you need to think of them. Trying to move them forward unsupported without anything to counterfire enemy skirmishers or ranged units. Putting them at that much risk just isn't the way. Being a little more patient and cautious would probably do you a lot better. More Kislev versus... Oh, wait, no, we just watched this, right? No, this is a rematch? What the hell? This is on Crystal Lake and not on Glade. Okay, these guys are rematching, so let's see what they learned from the last game. Oh, wait, no, it was Kramer and Yashkaf. But we do have a Skaven Kislev rematch, nonetheless. So the matchup is a rematch, not between the players. You played that really well, Uber. I just think if you kept the gyros a little bit closer in to the rest of your formation and not overextended with them early, you probably would have had a really good time. Because then, once your front line engages, then the gyrocopters can roll forward. They can drop their bombs and do damage to your opponent's infantry that are going to be really blobbed up on your own stuff. Then you can push and shoot down the solar engines and stuff like that. Natty Bubos, Ikit on the Doom Flare. Not a lot of Doom Wheel action from Ikit lately. I do really like him on the Doom Wheel, but he's not bad there either. Skaven Slaves, Clan Rats, all the usual goodies for the Skaven. We've got Eshin Triads, 2 of them moving to number 3. They're not great against infantry, but they've got solid enough stats with Weeping Blade. They can do okay into Armored Kossars. I wouldn't really recommend it, but I wouldn't imagine the Eshins are going to just sit here all game. Lots of Kossovite Dervishes. Horse Archers. Again, I don't like Horse Archers against the Skaven. There's nothing worse than your 600 gold unit getting pebbled to death by Skaven Slave Slings and shot by Natty Bubo's Sharpshooters, who are getting some great value right out of the gate. Just pounding away at these guys. They're going to massively outtrade these Kislevite units. Although, you need to be careful, the Horse Archers could dive Natty Bubos right now, but they do see all the units moving in here. Looks like they're going to be pulling back. Oh, and the Death Runners are in a blocking position too. Nasty stuff, and they do get a charge off. They're not going to fully stop the momentum, though. They should be able to kill the Horse Archers before the Natty Bubos take a ruinous amount of damage, I hope. Yeah, they do end up breaking their leadership. Buy our blood procs, and you might as well just stay in here and try and get as much damage as possible. Kossovite Dervishes moving in. Eshin Triads right in the path of their movement, but they do dodge around and now might be able to get a good collapse onto the Natty Bubos here. Though it looks like they're trying to go after the Death Runners. I don't know about that. Pretty good Vortex here. What is this called again? I can't remember the name of this one. Hawks of Miska. Pretty good damage on the Slingers, and on the Globadiers and the Council Guard, dude. That did some serious damage. 600 value from one cast of that Vortex. It's pretty gnarly, dude. It's got a big AoE, so... even though it doesn't have AP damage, it was still hitting like the entire Council Guard unit. Wolf Rats cleaning up some Kossovite Dervishes. Forcekin with a really nice start here. And the poor Ice Guard, dude. They're just getting shot to pieces right now. Out-traded by Slings. And I think they were also getting shot by Natty Bubos there for a second, maybe. They've just taken too much damage already. It takes them a long time to grind back their value. I really wouldn't like to see their performance in melee combat, even against Clan Rats. I've only got 50 armor. The reason you bring the sword variant of the Ice Guard is really in Chaos matchups where you're expecting Furies to be diving you and you don't want to have to commit stuff to protect these guys. I just can't see them being that good against Skaven. Yashkaf has really been struggling in this matchup up to this point. We got a Flensing Ruin going down on Ikit. Ikit is getting hounded out by Snow Leopards up here. Definitely needs a little milk. If you see your Lord getting attacked by SEs like this, just run into the middle of your clan rat spears. Like, seriously. So what you do is you get a boxier formation for the spears, and then Ikit just goes and sits right in the middle of them, and he's never going to get touched by the snow leopards again. Then your opponent has to do something else to try and get after him.
You have the foe's victory point.
2-2 in the tournaments for months on end can be really frustrating for Brosi. Look, I'm there right now. I've not been doing very well in the tournaments lately. I just haven't been practicing enough. And people are just like leveling up like nobody's business. The quality of play is just going up and up and up. So the people who have time and are able to get games in are really benefiting right now. Eshin Triads looking to box out the things in the woods, but a little slow getting over, and the Natty Boobos are going to get shut down now. They got about 1100 value, just about paid for themselves. The Ice Guard with swords doing horribly. One of them already dead, the other over here not getting a lot done. Council Guard have been holding on this point for a long time, but the Watchmen in the Night putting a beatdown on them in conjunction with the good magic usage from Kislev. The values are starting to even up, though. Poison Wind Globes getting pushed back. Skaven holding the #1. Pit Fighters moving in. I would like to see them maybe go elsewhere in support, though. Skaven are looking pretty thin. They've got some Eshin Triads. They've got some Storm Vermin. A lot of really tattered units. These Night Runners are out of ammo. They got good value, though. Winged Lancers are out. If Yashkaf is able to clean up the mobility micro, might be able to take this game here. Just based on the numbers and the battlefield situation, because the Skaven are looking to be at risk of losing the #3. Barely hanging on to it. Kislev just needs like 1 unit up here. We do have some Armored Kossars moving over there. Winged Lancers should be able to keep most of these Skaven units on the run back here. And the Pit Fighters just rocking right up to a big blob of Skaven stuff, which is Kislev units. It's going to be really ugly for them. They get a nice little flop in there. Getting those little Warpstone gauntlets on target. They're putting some big damage in on these Armored Kossars. But Immune to Psychology from Watchmen of the Night. Pretty nice. Keeping the fear from setting in on these Armored Kossars. They still have Buyer Blood, so it might be a while before that procs here. And Pit Fighters racking up a bunch of value, but alone and unsupported, probably not going to do too great. We do get the box formation, but these guys are facing the wrong way. And a charge from Winged Lancers breaks their leadership immediately, and they are going to be running for their lives. Skaven Slave Slingers almost doubled up their value, but now they're going to get flattened by the Winged Lancers here. And the Rat Ogres going to get into combat as well and start to smack them down. So Winged Lancers, they did pretty good getting rid of the Skaven Slave Slings. Rat Ogres are an excellent counter to Heavy Cav. Oh, Buyer Blood procs, and they do find the Natty Boobos, who did pay for themselves. Not a bad performance from them. It's really nice to get all the volleys off on these guys, but even if they don't, you can see with good targeting, they can still get you some good value. Lots of Storm Vermin moving up, with Clan Rats just getting up on the #2 and out muscling this objective here. The mobility is going to struggle into the Storm Vermin Halberds on the middle point. #3 does flip, but Death Runners, or Plague Monks and Rat Ogres should be able to clean that up, and the Doom Flayers finally out on the field. Going to be really good for clearing out the Armored Kossars and those Sword, Ice Guard alike. Big damage potential from them. Clan Rats hanging out in the trees, going to rally up here. They've got a decent amount of HP. They can recontest. Oh no, Ikit getting surrounded here by the cavalry. He's got very poor stats on the Doomflare. Not a lot of mass. The Winged Lancers are taking him down too. Losing your Lord here could be the death sentence for the Skaven. You're going to really struggle without him on the field. Kossars get pounded by the Rat Ogres. And with the Plague Monks arriving now, Should be a big win for the Skaven. It's just a question of whether the Lord rallies up here or not. His leadership is stabilizing, might be able to get back and hang in here. Ice Guard shooting into the Storm Vermin Halberds. Clanrat Spears hanging on to the number 2. Fast forward through this a little bit. This game is shaping up to be a nice long one here. The Plague Monks actually get charged down by the Winged Lancers, but you can see, even though they're fighting an inoptimal target, solid stats, as long as the Winged Lancers just stay engaged like this, they're going to suffer. This is what I'm talking about with Yashkaf's micro. If you're going to bring Winged Lancers, they're only good on the charge. They're awful in sustained combat. You cannot leave them there like that. They took a ton of unnecessary damage. It's really making things a lot harder on Kislev than it needs to be. And they're just getting out-muscled for the caps right now. You know, Clan Rats for days can just value trade poorly, but hang on to points and make life absolutely miserable for you. And Doomflayers can get through. They can go up to the high ground. We're seeing little lapses in micro, but, you know, Skaven can survive with that. Kislev, with their very few units, have to be on top of the micro in order to maximize value, or you're better off playing a faction with a much wider army, where you don't have to worry about each individual unit nearly as much. Clanrat Spears fighting in here. They do get nailed by, what was that? Was that the Glacial Blast? It must have been, because it did some nasty damage to the Clan Rats. Kislevite Warriors fighting in here, doing what they can. These Ice Guard did pay for themselves pretty nicely. Being able to sit and fire all game helped them out tremendously with that. But I'm very worried about these guys. Doomflayer coming in. Snow Leopard does lock them down in combat, is shutting them down a little bit, and that's another Hawks of Miska, dude. Oh my god, how much value does this Lord have? Only 1,300, but it did some great damage to the Death Runners. And the Discourage effect sends them fleeing for their lives. But Skaven do have a double cap. They're going to pass Kislev pretty quickly here. Oh, and the Ice Witch gets caught by some Eschens and the Clan Rats, but Glacial Blast does go down. Clears them out a little bit, shattering leadership on the Clan Rats. Chasing away the Triads, breaks Skaven Slaves. Holding on to the number 1. We need more movement up on the other objectives, though, man. We do get some Kislevite Warriors over here. But the Council Guard going to the rescue on that number 3 objective. Probably going to be able to ace that hold pretty easily. Skaven Slaves go down. Kislev might actually flip it, though, before they get there. Brutal. Oh, my God. Kislev's going to win this game by getting that cap in. And the number 2 is not firmly held enough either. Yashkaf able to bring it back there. Looked really rough in the mid-game.
You have the foe's victory point.
Just getting in here on the triple speed. The Skaven just weren't able to mass enough bodies up on the points to be able to hold them. And the superior combat prowess of the Kislevites able to make it happen here. So Yashkaf getting revenge for the earlier blunders. And doing a very good job of locking up this triple cap here. The Doomflayers were very much forgotten about by Forskin. Only 78 value, and they took a big pounding. Kossars and all these guys cleaning up the rats. GG's, man. Nicely done by Yash. Sweet. And let's get in here, and we'll spec the semifinals. Hopefully they haven't started yet. They just messaged me that they're starting that up. So we're getting right into top 4, guys. Let's get away from the build. Oh, Khorne versus Vampire Counts. This is actually really tough for Khorne against knowledgeable Vampire Counts players. There are things you can do, though, to maximize your damage output against the counts. We'll see if Systems has the matchup knowledge here to swing this game. Just finishing up builds here. We'll hang out. We'll wait. Aw, damn, Leggett. You didn't win all your matches. And that bye round in the first round screwed you over then, I would guess. Not having the op points. Let me actually go check and see who the other top 4 guys are. Oh, Despoiler, let's go. We haven't watched any of Despoiler's games today. Good job making it into top 4, though, for real. Yeah, there we go. We've got Kristoff right down here, bottom of the top 4. Just missing out. Legatus, unfortunately, having that first round bye, really holding you back, unfortunately, on the Swiss points. If you had won one more game and not had a bye round in the first round, you probably would have gotten in, because your other opponents, man, got some big point totals for you. Yeah, I'll check that game out against Kislev for sure then. Oh my god, we got Scarbrand! Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Does Systems know? I don't like Scarbrand. I think Scarbrand's actually kind of terrible. I don't know what it is about him. He just kind of sucks. You would think he'd be a much stronger character, but he's just so damn squishy feeling for some reason. He's gonna be extra squishy against the Blood Dragon Lord. Helmet Discord, breath attacks are gonna do big work against him. This guy's a damn good combatant to begin with, good AP values. But just the fact that Helmet Discord's on the table, the Blood Dragon Vampire Lord's gonna benefit immensely from that. And having Frenzy, that melee attack's much better than the 44 that it's showing there. Fellbats on the wings, lots of cheap chaff, of course. Crypt Horrors behind, Corpse Carts between, White Kings on the table, Throwing Axes, Corn Gores in the Vanguard, Minotaur Great Weapon with Marauder, dual weapons being the rest of the Corn Army, very small. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how this plays out. Just based on the current comp, Vampire Counts have a big edge right now. I really do think that, I think Skulltaker, Valkia are better options. Exalted Bloodthirster's not bad in a pinch. Your Lords are very vulnerable in this matchup, is the long and the short of it. Playing conservatively with them and trying to just keep them alive can usually be pretty nice for you. The rest of the units in your army are much better against the Vampire Counts, especially the Throwing Axes. The Axes are absolutely disgusting against Crypt Horrors. Like, 3 volleys from 2 Horsemen focus firing is enough to kill a Crypt Horror, so we'll see if the focus fire from Systems is going to be good enough here. You also got to protect the Horsemen, because there are Direwolves and Fellbats and stuff that want to get back there. Direpacker, really good answer. You've got lots of good tools against the mobility of the Vampire Counts, though. Fleshhounds, Furies, all of those are pound for pound better than they are against you. The only, like, large target that you really need to worry about is the Crypt Horrors, just because they're so durable, and they've got good AP and decent damage output with the melee attack. You gotta be very careful about them. They've got poison also, and they've got good mass. Scarbrand does get a good attack in on the White King. Trying to run away now, the Blood Dragon Lord is gonna punish him here, potentially. He just needs to keep moving, and he might be fine. You can see the Blood Dragon Lord doesn't get any damage in. Scarbrand is able to squeak away. Good job moving the Marauder Horseman back. And we do have... What is this? What ability just got popped? I don't know what that was. That was an interesting little effect. Oh my god, Slaughter and Carnage is on the table here. Wow, super expensive Scarbrand, too. Alright, I mean, I'm interested to see if he actually is able to value trade any here. Minotaurs running around in here. We do have Cryptors engaging the dual weapons, which is a great fight for them. But the Minotaurs are going to collapse in here. They're going to help stiffen these guys up. Blood Dragon Vampire Lord does get rampaged into all of those guys. Scab's Wraith going down, being mitigated by the spell resistance, but still doing a little bit of work. Helm of Discord going down, going to be a big debuff on all of these Coronate units, really reducing their damage output. I mean, you can see 16 melee attack. Bonus versus large is going to be carrying them against the Cryptars right now. Trying to trap this guy on the ground right now. Throwing axes are hitting the Blood Dragon Lord very efficiently right now. And we do have the Dire Pack getting into Khorngors and Minotaurs. They will lose that combat, but Ninja with really good micro pulls them right out. Skarbrand doing really nicely right now. Really good micro on him, being the most important part of this equation. And the Cryptors are actually in a little bit of a dangerous situation right now. Skarbrand might be able to wear them out with the assistance of the Khorngors and the Minotaurs here. Minotaurs do need to pile into this combat a little bit more, but that is a decent engagement right now for the Coronate forces. But a big breath attack on the throwing axes, doing big damage to those guys, ruining their HP and sending them into a rout. They are backing up a little bit. Where are they shooting at, though? That's the most important part. I would say that you should keep the Minotaurs away from the Cryptars and just use your throwing axes to try and wear those guys down. Although there is a fairly good engagement up here for Khorne, although the Marauder dual weapons are getting worn out pretty badly. Not trading stupendously either. These guys over here doing a lot better. They've had their Lord by them, so their leadership is a little bit better than it normally is. And a really good Rage Embodied here. Skarbrand used a breath attack earlier and got 60 kills. And doing some big work against the Blood Dragon Lord, who's really struggling. Is the super off-meta Skarbrand pick gonna end up paying off here? Oh my god, dude. Skarbrand going beast mode right now. Usually not something that I see whenever I'm playing with him or playing up against him. Usually it just ends up being really lackluster, but System's making great use out of him and wearing down all the Cryptars up top here. On death's bed now. Blood Beasts, Minos doing really good damage. Hanging in here really nicely. Doing a good job of just hanging in and paying for themselves. And the Khorngor is helping out tremendously with their good leadership and damage output against large. And the throwing axes take down the Unholy Lodestone Corpse Cart on the number 1. Khorne does lose it. Khorngor's en route, terrified. Marauders running 2, but the number 3 is held. And the number 1's held right now. They are starting to lose it a little bit, though. Blood Knights coming in with the breath attack. Big damage now from the vampire counts. If they even this matchup in terms of the damage value dealt, they will probably win this game. They have lost a Corpse Cart, though. It's going to come down to the Blood Knight micro now, I think. Oh, and the Minotaurs, no, they're running in the wrong direction. They need to get the hell out of there. They don't need to be attacking zombies, man. They get rear charged by the Blood Knights. Minotaurs absolutely hate fighting Blood Knights. Blood Knights get heals, they get Van Hell's Dance Macabre. And they're putting in some serious freaking work here. Wrecking the Blood Knights here. Skarbrand still fighting up top, but he's running out of good targets to fight up here. Doesn't really want to be fighting zombies or Sternsman and Graveguard. Stuff like that. A little too much for him to handle. Beautiful sword. Big damage on all those units there. Khorne is starting to look a little thin now, though. Some of the Marauder Horsemen get shut down by the Dire Pack, who have come back in. Losing that combat pretty badly. Khorngor is moving up to hang in here and try and do damage. Blood Beasts fighting against Blood Knights, never something you want to see. And the Blood Dragon Lord, very healthy. And it's looking like Khorne's going to lose too much momentum here to be able to take the game. Excuse me. Sternsmen are out. doing a very good job of hanging around. Scarbrand with good value. A lot of that is tied up on the Blood Dragon Lord, though. There's just not a lot of high health units in for Khorne right now. Systems has a ton of supplies. Having units out in the field right now would make a big difference. Oh, and summoning Marauders all the way out here. Uh-oh. This might be a miss-summon. Because we need stuff elsewhere on the battlefield. It's time for Khorne to really rally up and start playing from a position of strength. They've got a good ticket lead. They can honestly retreat to the number 3 objective for a little bit, maybe. And work on reconstituting a good enough force to be able to take down these units that the vampire counts have out. Slaughter Guard or the Bloodweight Berserkers would also be a good option. I don't know if the Bloodweight Berserkers are banned in this tournament. If they're not, you should bring them. If they are, you can just bring something else. Regular Wrathmongers are plenty good. Marauder Horsemen throwing axes locked in combat here, but the Blood Knights are getting dragged down now. They've gotten 1800 value, which is damn solid. The Khorne Gores wearing them out here might be able to finish those guys off. Scarbrand's still very healthy. A couple breath attacks still could definitely farm up some value. And look at his weapon strength, dude. Fucking 900 weapon strength on Scarbrand here. Gonna be rolling around. He's gonna wreck this White King. Look at the damage. Oh my god. White King in the wrong neighborhood right now, man. Scarbrand looking like a campaign character in terms of the actual value and damage he's providing. Oh my god, he's bullying this poor little guy, dude. White King going down here. Looks like just one more attack and he'll probably just crumble out the rest of the way, and Scarbrand's having a whale of a time. Slaughter and Carnage decently charged up right now, but he needs to be careful. He doesn't want to get isolated on top of the Blood Dragon Lord and the Stearnsman. He should try and pull out and get into the middle of his Khorne Gores, and he'd be in a much better position there. Fleshhounds hiding in the trees with some Blood Beasts. We need some movement from Khorne for sure, man. One Marauder hanging out on point here. The other moving up and engaging the Dire Wolves. Gonna be a big winning fight for these Marauders. They're very good against Hound units. You can see excellent damage output against them. Thanks to the melee attack, man. 42 melee attack on your 400 gold unit. I love the cost efficiency of Marauders. They are an absolute joy to use. Blood Dragon Vampire Lord. Decently healthy, still charging into the Blood Beasts, and the Blood Beasts are charging down the Dire Wolves. They haven't done too well, though. Very unfortunate for them. Oh, but Scarbrand gets the Rampage. Scarbrand with the big weapon strength, taking down the Blood Dragon Lord. Blood Dragon Lord might die here. He's still going to be enraged for a couple more seconds. Oh my god, dude. Did Scarbrand double hit him there? He went from 1700 down to about 100. Holy crap. Oh, and a sword comes down. Wow, dude. The off-meta Scarbrand choice. 4,400 value on Scarbrand here. Wow. Dude. Slaughter and Carnage is crazy. That's crazy. That is insane. And Scarbrand's still got half health left. Khorne does need a little help cleaning up some of these points. Some Minotaurs would be nice. Although there are some Blood Beasts coming out. Fleshhounds would be plenty as well. I mean, Fleshhounds actually beat the Dire Pack, believe it or not. As long as they're not solo engaged and the Dire Pack aren't getting heals, of course. They do win that. Just need to lock down the objectives. Fleshhounds charging down the Stearnsmen. I mean, they do some good damage on the charge. They cannot stay here, though. They lose that trade. Peeling them out, making sure to just rally up on points and take objectives. Definitely a must here for Khorne. You've got a winning hand, just don't oversell it. And get some damn anti-large out on the field, man. The most dangerous thing that's going to come out now is Crypt Horrors and maybe Blood Knights. And these Blood Beasts, don't fumble them away here, please! I'm begging you. They need to get back up to the protection of infantry. They do not need to be fighting skeletons and crypt horrors. Skeleton spears, no less. Looks like most of them are getting away. 3 of them are fighting on the low ground. I don't know why, but that's where they are. Nice little spin to win attack there. Marauders and the Fleshhounds doing nicely. They should be able to clean up the Dire Pack here. The Dire Pack have a decent engagement because the Fleshhounds, they're pretty split fighting the other Dire Wolves here. But the Marauders in tandem should be enough to wear those guys out, and we do have throwing axes coming out to answer the Crypt Horrors, rallying Marauders onto the point. Scarbrand stands alone up top and is bullying the Stearnsmen off the map right now, with the dual weapon warriors providing a little support. More dual weapons coming in, with Minos support coming up behind. Minos should be able to help clean up the Crypt Horrors. Scarbrand should be used cautiously. He could probably go to the low ground and clean up. I am amazed at System's ability to maximize Scarbrand's value, because he's got 5,200 value right now. He has been an absolute monster so far this game. Throwing Horsemen, getting some shots on target against the Crypt Horrors. Fellbats struggling here in combat. Bloodbeasts have been holding in really nicely, and the Skeleton Spears obviously not being on top of their Crypt Horrors means these guys trading downwards pretty badly. Bloodbeasts just have better weapon strength and a little bit more melee attack against the low melee defense of the Crypt Horrors. The healing is really nice. It's really keeping those guys in this fight. And Korn is actually going to take this match, dude, with the rarest of all picks. Scarbrand coming in and absolutely clutching up and carrying that entire game. 5,400 value. And he had all the abilities just about on Scarbrand too, which is crazy to see. Usually people just bring Rage Embodied, but we had Slaughter and Carnage, we had the Breath Attack, we had all the goodies. And Scarbrand, when he got up to 1,000 weapon strength, just ate the lunch of all of the SEs, and even did a pretty good job against the infantry, man. Amazing performance from Scarbrand. That was epic, dude. Unbelievable. Holy crap. So System's getting into the top 4 here, man. Or into the, not into the top 4, into the finals now. Top 2, I should say. We'll see who's going to be on the other side of the bracket here. Oh, and we've got some more replays people are dropping. Cool, cool. So just so everybody knows what's happening today here, for me personally, after we do the finals, I will dip out, but I am going to stream again tonight because I'm playing in one of the tournaments that's going on. There's an SFT that's pretty late tonight. I think it's 9 o'clock Eastern time, US. Maybe it's at 6:30. Let me actually see. No, yeah, really late Dom SFT tonight. I'm going to be playing in that, so I'm going to be streaming then as well. Just depending on when I'm able to get back on, because I've got other stuff to do today as well. I might do more replays, and I might also just do some practice games. That way I'm not coming in rusty as hell into these tournaments. I think that's been my biggest problem. And then we'll see if we can make a run, because I want a freaking tournament win. I've been doing so poorly this last month in the tourneys. I'm determined to start flipping this around. Ninja, I don't think you threw your Lord. I just don't know if the Blood Dragon Lord is gonna be any good against Scarbrand. I mean, Scarbrand was not at all what I expected, and his performance that game was juicy. Absolutely fat. Is the other side of bracket done? It's Despoiler and Pizu, so 2 of our chat champs hashing it out here. Yeah, same. Right? Dude, and slaughtering, like, all the abilities on Scarbrand, too. Maybe people are just using Scarbrand wrong now. Although, who's to say? I mean, if you've got good micro, you can make anything work, I think. In Dom mode, especially, where you've got variety with your builds. I mean, Jesus. We had Rage, we had Bellow. I think Fueled by Rage was there, too. I think Wrathful Reaper was the only thing Scarbrand didn't have. I'm gonna try playing around with just a fully kitted out Scarbrand now. Yeah, the Strigoi would have been good. Strigoi is a better anti-large fighter. But I'm guessing you brought a Blood Dragon to fight Valkia and debuff. I mean, you were using the debuffs really well. I used to bring Scarbrand against Lizardmen all the time. I would unironically bring Scarbrand and the Bloodbrute Behemoth and just a shit ton of Marauders. With a Exalted Bloodletter sometimes, but that might be a little too much. Could probably just do this. One Fury, just to hang out with the boys. Corngors. This might be the answer to the Lizardmen Dread Saurian builds again. Yeah, I've seen the campaign shenanigans with Scarbrand where he just like tramples everything. I know you can do it in multiplayer. It can be kind of hard, but maybe it's time to start giving Scarbrand some respect again. That performance in that game was inspiring, honestly. That really kind of goes to show you that, you know, the meta is the meta, but there's ways around it, you know? Just expecting the same things over and over and bringing the same things over and over can definitely put you in a hole in the long term for your development as a player. Dang, are they still going? Are y'all done, Pizu? Oh, okay, here we go. Slick. Let's get it. Finals about to kick off here. Pizu with the Dark Elves. The evil elves, so to speak. See what they can get done. Yeah, exactly. Pre-game mental is important. You know? Niche can work, man. I mean, I don't know if y'all have ever watched VM Berserk play. Berserk is a player who brings tons of off-meta units in like finals and semifinals type games, even against some of the best players in the world, and wins quite often with really off-meta stuff just by virtue of knowing the niches and then also having really good micro and being able to make good effect out of that. Yeah, exactly. Dom is still got some build roulette for sure. It's a lot less than Conquest and land battles, though. Just being able to summon stuff out makes a big difference for keeping games a little bit closer and more competitive on the whole, I would say. Not to say you can't get absolutely stomped in domination mode. I've certainly had it happen. The first battle I played on stream, in fact, was a little bit of a whiff on my part. I got wrecked by the Tomb Kings. Do I have all the replays? I think I do. So, as per usual, of course, even if I don't finish all the replays today, I will do another stream on Monday where we go through and finish out the last ones. So, everybody's games will be viewed and observed, and we will not judge you. Because this game is insane. It's so hard to learn everything there is to know about this. Oh, what are you bringing versus Wood Elves as Lizardmen? Oh, man, against Wood Elves? Just tons of skinks. Skink cohorts and chameleons. Backed up by Coldwind Spear Riders to answer the Wild Rider spam is probably the best thing you can do, Legatus. Wood Elves are tough, though. If you don't know, like, Wood Elves, here are the factions that I think are a little bit, like, meta-breaking in a way, where they're very much a rule unto themselves. I would say Wood Elves, Chaos Dowie, Khorne to some extent, who else? Dwarves just because you kind of have to do specific things to beat them. And then I'm forgetting a faction. Oh, Vampire counts. Those are the factions, I think, that are probably the most specialized in how you beat them. And against Wood Elves, you just have to outvalue their missiles. You need good cap weight. You need to be able to answer their insane mobility game. I mean, Wood Elves are almost as good as Beastmen in the mobility game. Their Wild Riders and all those units are absolutely gnarly. Oh, and as Lizards against Wood Elves, the Bastillodon Solar Engines. That's the matchup where I think that they're best. I think double Solar Engine is the way to go against Wood Elves, honestly. It's tough, though. It's a tough matchup for Lizards. If you play your cards right, though, and you can shoot down their lightly armored stuff with your javelins, you can win it, for sure. And Krotgar is really good, also. He's pretty durable. He hits like a truck. And Hand of the Gods is an absolutely gnarly ability that you can use on just about any target. It does disgusting damage to SEs. It wrecks monstrous infantry. It's great against cavalry because it pins through the whole unit. And it fires so many missiles it can one-shot a Wild Rider. Or thereabouts. Maybe not 100% kill them. But taking about half or even more of their HP off might as well be a one-shot. Because it'll make them pretty much non-functional at that point. It's the way of things, Uberzig. Play with confidence and bring what you want to mess around with. Don't get stuck playing the same builds over and over again, because people will figure you out. I'm telling you, at the higher level players, a lot of the time what they're doing is they're not necessarily picking against your faction. They're picking against you and what you like to bring. They're trying to figure out your strategies rather than just the faction's strategies. Yeah, give it a try, Legatus, and let me know. It's not easy. It's a tough matchup. There's a lot you have to do right as the Lizards, and the Wood Elves can afford to make some mistakes that you can't. Khorne is something. Khorne just has a lot of really even matchups right now. There's really only a handful of bad matchups for Khorne. They're just so versatile now after getting all the cool DLC stuff. And they've got some really good, like, straightforward builds that you can succeed with if you have good execution. We've got pretty much the exact same build. Honestly, the same build on both sides from Pizu and Systems here. We're going to see what happens, though, because, you know, they did play earlier. I dropped a little bit of info for both players to keep in mind, so we'll see how they adapt to one another here. I'm a little surprised to not see the Bloodrack Shrine in the start, but that would be a lot to commit early to Big SC. And Khorne does always have good answers to it. Maybe just the threat of the Skull Cannons gunning that thing down is why it's not here. Scourge Runners are much more difficult for the Skull Cannons to hit, but they do good damage to them regardless. But also shooting at Dark Riders ain't bad, just keeping them honest and keeping them away from your front line and pin-cushioning all your stuff. We'll see what the Cultists are able to do. There's still not really an answer for the Cultists. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Chaos Warriors, Marauders of Khorne, all moving up. Going to be getting up to the middle objective. First shot, little bit of a miss. It tickles the HP on some of the Dark Riders on the edge of the point. Or the edge of the formation, I should say. They scoot up onto the number 3 pretty easily. Skull Cannons advancing, going to be closing the distance. Chaos Warriors, Marauders... Just tons of good stuff from Khorne. Cost-effective infantry into the sunset. And good dodges from Valkia there. Valkia is so maneuverable in the sky, it's really hard to shoot her if you're microing her effectively. That was a beautiful shot on those Dark Riders. I got some really good value on them. Good micro, twisting the Skull Cannons around. And there you go. First shot onto the Scourge Runners, gets some good HP off of them, and the Vortex does damage to them as well. It's got to be hitting the middle of the formation, though. Scourge Runners looking to run over the infantry, getting some good damage early. Chaos Warriors fighting back, getting some damage on the High Beastmaster. These guys just have such good melee attack. I mean, 46 is actually kind of cracked, and they have 40 weapon strength, which is almost as good as Saurus Warriors. Saurus Warriors are pretty up there in terms of the weapon strength as well. Skull Cannon's playing safe. Valkia takes a very risky dive attempt here. With the Tormentor Sword, it does lock her in combat. Very unlucky that the tree blocked that shot. Would have definitely hit one of the Scourge Runners there. Cold One Knights coming out. Infantry holding on the middle point. We get another shot down on the Scourge Runners. Just working these guys down from range is going to be pretty nice for Khorne. We do need some action to try and work down these Cold One Knights. More shots coming in on the Scourge Runners. Should be able to start picking off models here. I haven't seen any double hits. Maybe they've fixed that on the model. Because I know Scourge Runners got changed a bunch. They're a little bit less vulnerable to some of the old Chariot shenanigans. But Khorne's trading very evenly on the value right now. Which is going to be really scary for the Dark Elves. Cultists sitting on the objective here. They do get shot from the side a little bit. Take some damage. Scourge Runners taking more shots. That shot did miss, but it hits the Cold One Knights anyways. Which is pretty awesome. Gets a nice chunk of damage. These guys having some problems pushing out of the Vortex. It takes some serious work there. And they charge into the Chaos Warriors, who they're doing a little damage to. They do get the Whiplash, giving them more charge bonus and weapon strength. But you can see them trading pretty evenly here. And the slow work down of the Scourge Runners is going to make it very hard to kill the infantry in the later stages of the game. Khorne infantry, like I said last game, massively outvalue Bleak Swords and Dark Dread Spears normally. You can see the Scourge Runners being very critical for breaking these guys down right now. One of them is basically dead. It's lost 2 models now. The other 2 are, it's probably going to break and run now. The other guys can get worked down. Skull Cannon's looking pretty damn healthy still. And just staying back with them. And they should be able to engage the infantry and do a pretty good job of evening up that fight at some point. Valkia being very aggressive, liking the attack down onto these Cold One Knights to pick off models. She doesn't want to stay here. Her getting locked into the Bleak Swords would be pretty terrible. Good Sleipnir, good damage on that. Pizu is doing a great job of skirmishing, though. Has gotten one of the Skull Cannons down to about half health. The other is very healthy. Has done a lot of damage to the Marauders and Chaos Warriors as well. One pretty healthy Chaos Warrior over here. Backed up by a pretty weak Marauder. Might make the frontline fight a little bit better for the Dark Elves. But Cultists and Valkia, all standing toe-to-toe. Probably going to just occupy and eventually beat all these Bleak Swords. They're not going to have good damage output against those characters. Marauders getting flattened once again by the Scourge Runner Swarm. More shots coming in from the Skull Cannons. Still missing a little bit. One of the Scourge Runners is going to be gone now. There's no way it rallies. Surely, right? Not 100% on it. Whiffing a little bit on that. They can be a little inaccurate firing from high ground like this. Where are the Skull Cannons going to end up going is the question. Not 100% sure right now. There is a nice break on the Marauders over here. Chaos Warriors looking to get after the Bleak Swords. Pizu doing a much better job of delaying the frontline engage for a longer period of time and getting a little bit more value out of the Scourge Runners at range. They have hammered down a Skull Cannon pretty nicely. They're shooting the Minotaurs now, who are taking some serious damage. Cold One Knights have been used pretty nicely. One of them is gone, or just about. Only about 500 value on them. Chaos Warriors just hanging in here, doing a very good job of grinding up some good value, and we do have the Cultist breaking out here. One Bloodletter Summon used. Is one still in the bank, or are they both gone? No, one Bloodletter Summon still on the table for Khorne. Good Skull Cannon shot. Need to be very careful with this thing so that the Beastmaster and the other Scourge Runners don't finish it off here. It is a little vulnerable. Some Flesh Hounds would be really nice. We do see some coming out to chase down the Dark Riders. Pizu trying to get away. They turn a little slow. Flesh Hounds nipping at the heels. Khorngor's moving up. Marauders hanging in. Khorne with a little bit of a ticket lead. Nothing too crazy. Very clean engagements on the number one here. Big wins for Khorne out here. Cold One Knights might be able to get on top of this Skull Cannon. I don't know if Systems has seen this yet. There are some Minotaurs over here. They've got a decent chunk of HP. They could definitely get up and support that Skull Cannon. You don't want to lose those guys. Those were the key to victory last time around. Definitely going to be needed yet again to pull this game off. Fury's moving up, some dual weapons advancing, Skull Cannon struggling against the Cold One Knights. It's very close to leadership breaking. Cold One Knights do get intercepted by the Marauders. Skull Cannon takes another bit of damage here, and it is crumbling out. That's one Skull Cannon gone. Huge for Pizu now. The other Skull Cannon trundling around and tracking the poor Cold One Knights into the Minotaurs. But there are Witch Elves and some Bleak Swords here. Man, this might be a winning fight for the Dark Elves over here, too. Pizu coming in clutch right now. Doing a much better job this game of clearing out the Cultists and punishing the Skull Cannons. Dragging Khorne around a little bit and making life a much tougher proposition for them. And keeping the Dark Rider Repeater Crossbows a little bit safer. Is also paying off pretty big because they're wrecking these Khorngors right now. We've got a Bloodletter Summon going down in the middle from this Cultist, who is probably going to go down in just a moment here. Should be able to clean up the stuff on the middle there, though. We'll see where Valkia is going to be going. Caster was kept much safer as well. Very good adjustments from Pizu. And the Minotaur's trying their best now. Losing the Skull Cannon sucks. There is a very healthy one here. It's gotten some good value. Khorne definitely needs to just maybe rally up a little bit. They're dragging the value back some. And Pizu is running out of ammo on a lot of the skirmishers. Scourge Runners are going down here. The Minos have found them and are tearing them to pieces. These Furies are flying overhead. Should be able to start buffering out the Dark Riders, who are going to have a really bad time. Valkia chasing down the Sorceress of Death, who needs a little bit of help here. Struggling somewhat. Bloodletters with 300 value. That's a pretty good bit of exchange on the cost for the summon. Dual weapons moving in. Getting flattened a little bit on the charge by the Beastmaster. And the Cold One Knights They've got good enough weapon strength, and they've got their frenzy up still. They should be able to trade okay here. And with a good collapse from the Minotaurs, oh, this could be a game-breaking moment. If the High Beastmaster gets trapped here and dies, that could be absolutely devastating for the Dark Elves. Because you can see, they've still got a decent skirmish core. But again, they're running into the same problem as last time now. Infantry are all dead and gone. And without that, the Cold One Knights and the Dark Riders are going to have a really hard time finding proper engagements with all the Furies, Fleshhounds, and the Marauders just swarming out onto the field. So many cost-effective infantry units. We've still got some Minotaurs running around out here, and the Beastmaster gets pummeled. He's been here for like he's been here for less than a minute, probably about 30 seconds, and he has gotten chunked down, almost from full. I mean, he had about 3/4 of his HP last time we checked him, and he is probably going to die here, and that is going to be devastating to the leadership for the Dark Elves here. Valkia needs to get away from these Witch Elves. They could shred her here, which would give a little bit of impetus back to the Dark Elves to start trading again in the front line. Because the Frenzy is going to be a little bit more of a problem for a lot of these tattered units. They're not going to have it online with the Lord gone, with the persistent debuff. But Valkia does get back up in the air, looking to finish off the Death Sorceress. I still think bringing her on foot is a mistake. She really needs to be on a Dark Steed or something so she can kite around. Minos taking a pretty risky fight, but they get some big damage on the Bloodrack Shrine, which has struggled mightily in both of the games that we've watched. And the Fleshhounds with the Skull Cannon piling in on top of these Witch Elves. Dark Riders going to be getting in here as well. They're not going to trade effectively at all. And there's the Horn of Corn. Going to punish this engagement really damn hard now. Witch Elves are okay fighting Fleshhounds for the most part, just because they've got good damage output. They can usually grind pretty efficiently against them. But with the melee attack buff on these Fleshhounds, they should start doing some pretty nasty damage here. Dark Riders find the Skull Cannon. It's going to take a while for them to drag that down. And we do have Chaos Warriors moving up. Dark Elves fully pushed off all the points, trying to rally to number 3. Khorngor's coming in. No ammo on the Dark Riders, really. One volley left on these guys, but they are actually going to get engaged by the Khorngors here. Pizu pulling back, really nice micro, but there's just not enough gas left. The skirmish trade value was kept evenly enough that once the front lines met, Chaos Warriors, Marauders, doing decently enough and just hanging out on the field for a long enough period of time, that Khorne's mobility was able to finally get in here and start to squeeze out some pretty good value. Fleshhounds are going down here. Skull Cannon bullying the Bloodrack Shrine with its close-range artillery fire. Probably going to break the leadership on it, potentially. You can see it does have a leadership debuff from being damaged by our Artie. It's in the danger zone on the leadership, and you see the Vortex doing damage to it also. Marauders hanging in here with Valkia. Valkia taking some damage, a little bit of friendly fire from the Bloodrack Shrine, and down goes the Shrine. Leadership breaks, Dark Riders try to shut down the Skull Cannon, and System's doing exactly what you're supposed to do with the Skull Cannons. Enemy cavalry trying to shut down the range, pile on top of your Chaos Warriors, that's not an issue anymore. The Dark Elves look to be completely out of steam here. Full breaks on all of the infantry that they've got out on the field, and they've just got some Dark Riders with shields left. Khorne can just start pushing up Khorngors or dual weapons, just a variety of units to start shutting down the opportunities for the Elves to try and flip objectives away, and that's probably going to be it, and we have a victorious Blood God Acolyte here. Eric the Horrendous doing a very good job, aka System ZX. The Bloodrack Medusa Shrine does rally for a second. Did get a good volley off on the Marauders of Khorne. Just not able to get good enough value here. It's got the debuffs and buffs to your units. I think getting it out before you engage in the front line is a good idea. That way you've got an objective where you can send infantry so they can trade a little bit better. It also causes terror, which can't be underestimated. You know, Khorne is immune to psychology with Frenzy active, but once Frenzy is offline, your stuff can terror out and get affected by fear and all the other nasty leadership debuffs. That's something to keep in mind. That was a much closer game than last time around. Pizu almost had that one. There were a couple of moments where I really thought Pizu was going to take it. Losing the High Beastmaster, though, and the Scourge Runners, again, not quite making it happen. They were doing a little bit better, but the accurate Skull Cannon counterfire did shut one of them down pretty hard. Made life hell for the other two as they were constantly dodging back and forth. Yeah, and Skull Cannons are a tough unit. Like, as long as you don't let the Cold One Knights get on top of them, what is your opponent really going to do against them? Like, just keep them away from the missiles and you're golden. One Cold One Knight did well. I just don't know what Pizu needs to do to get better value out of this build. I think it might be time to go back to the drawing board on the options. Man, this double Cultist with Valkia and the Chaos Warriors, the Skull Cannon opening is so damn solid. Such a good build just to cap up one objective early. And then you develop out your other answers to just flood the field and press back the Dark Elves. The Witch Elves, they were okay. It's really just these infantry, dude. I mean, like, they didn't really get any value back in return. Which is a death sentence for you against Khorne. You have to have infantry that can trade somewhat efficiently in order for you to win. Otherwise, you just end up in these positions that Pizu kept finding where, yeah, you're trading evenly, you can even get up in value, but then your front line crumbles. You just move up on the objectives with your Khornate infantry and just stuff the Dark Elves out. Even with their good mobility, they just can't cap the objectives easily. You're confident, but the execution is hard? Okay. One or two mistakes and I lose all the advantage that you fought for. That's very true. Sometimes it's just an uphill grind. I think this is a very Khorne-favored matchup, to be honest. Of all the, like, skirmish factions that I've struggled against, Dark Elves have never been one of them. In systems coming in, with the double Skull Cannon, in solid play from the Cultists and Valkia, with the good backup from all these other cost-effective units, has been just an absolute nightmare this tournament, and is going to be our winner. So, very nicely done. First finals. Hell yeah. Y'all both played amazingly. Pizu just is in a minus matchup here. I don't know, man. The only thing that I would maybe recommend is consider a big dragon character like Malekith. Because he's just an absolute beast in combat, and with Soul Stealer healing himself up, he can beat Valkia, and he can beat the Cultists pretty damn easily. Being on the dragon, he also gets these breath attacks for killing the heavy infantry. Terror on him as well. This, like a Malekith build, is usually where I've struggled against people who are playing Dark Elves. That's just my personal experience, though. Systems could completely counter you with solid play. There's no guarantees. Try it out for yourself and see how you think and feel about it. Alright, guys. Thank y'all for showing up. I am going to call it here. If you want, join back in with me around 8 p.m. tonight. I'll be playing some practice matches before the tournament. And I'll see you then. Maybe do a couple more replays, time permitting. But probably going to finish out the rest of the replays I got today on Monday. Till then, see you later, guys. Take care. Peace out.